win the national title game because of that. And while the final 2 minutes, the reviews are ridiculous. It's absurd. The constant waving your finger, asking for review stuff has been going on for years is absolutely annoying. But I don't get why you wouldn't have enjoyed that basketball game. There are complaints about college basketball in general that we all have, but that game in particular was as good as you can ask for, I think, in a national title game.
This is what's fun, I guess, about doing sports radio. Did not enjoy it. Not like the final, the little bit of the drama at the end, I would say, right? Although the final possession, wow, Houston.
What the heck?
What a mess,
what the heck
right? So like we could spend 20 minutes just breaking that down. What was your plan?
3 straight possessions.
What was your plan to score? Their final 4 possessions in the last 2 minutes of the game were turnover. So like a complete mess. Disaster at the end for the same reason we mentioned Duke choked the night before. Houston choked.
Yeah, on a smaller scale, but yes.
Not to the point scale but like they choked. Mm-hmm. They had a good halftime lead. They blew it at the end. Their last final, I'm not saying it was like a 25-point halftime lead. They had a nice halftime lead there, or the bigger stretch when they got up, 12?
12 they were up 12. It really, halftime was 3 points.
Yeah,
it was 12, though, in the second half.
Right after halftime, yeah. So 42-30 or whatever they were up at the one point. Blew it at the end. Houston blowing it at the end is absolutely part of the story. This is what I find, and this is not even to be like, I saw Drew, I saw you, I saw Jeff Goodman, people I saw it more from probably the national basketball people. I thought the style of game was borderline, for times, unwatchably bad.
Number 1 defense, number 2 defense in college basketball.
I'll just be honest, that's not the style of any sport I want to watch.
That's
for the
fair.
same reason I don't want to watch 12-9 Ravens Steelers in December. Close doesn't mean good to me. And there were big swaths of no scoring in that game, bad offense in that game, or you could call it great defense if you were on the pro defensive side. I thought it was a slog. I thought in the second half, they took that game to a screeching halt.
No, I agree with you on the officiating.
And that kind of made it unwatchable at times. So, I didn't find it to be like an overly enjoyable game until we got to the final, I don't know, 4. The under 4 was not bad.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but I understand the complaints. Now, the officiating, I'm not going to argue with you on because that was absurd in the first half compared to second half. But I guess what I'm saying is a lot of these points, replay and referee stuff, is stuff we've all complained about with the sport itself that needs to be corrected.
Yes.
Too many reviews. The officiating is not consistent. Like, that's not unique to last night. Like, the first half, they let them play. First half was awesome. They let them play. And then
the first half was more enjoyable.
They get together at halftime and said, wow, we got to rein this thing in. Oof. And all of a sudden, it was foul after foul after foul. I'm not arguing with you on that.
Double bonus at under 12. I mean, it was way too early in the game.
Yeah, all I'm saying is the complaints about the game, you could have complained about a January game as well and a game in February. It was not unique to last night. And the broader point of the Final Four and how it was chalky and all that, if that was 12 seed versus 1 seed, the game wasn't going to be better than that. That to me was our best case scenario in terms of, other than Duke Florida would have been a more open game. I'm with you, right? Offensively, Duke Florida would have been a more aesthetically pleasing game. Totally with you. But that was the style. Houston and Florida going into the game, we talked about it yesterday. It was, could they shut down Walter Clayton? And they did for a majority of the game until they couldn't right late. And this was going to be about defense. That going in, it was a low total. If we're talking about a betting angle, it was a very low total for a game. I could have told you that was not going to be like this up and down constant game.
And I'm not saying I came into there just being like, they're just going to run up and down the court. But I mean, look, every possession for 8 consecutive minutes in the game ended in a foul. And there's no pace. And if there's no flow to a game, I lose interest in the pace and the style of the play. Look, I'm not here to argue. I'm not so insane to be I'd rather have a 20-point FAU beatdown.
Right.
I'm not I'd rather a close game than a not close game, but I'd rather stylistically for the game to be enjoyable to watch than, I felt like the entire 40 minutes, zero flip. The first half had more.
First half I actually thought was pretty darn good.
I'll take it back. The final 20 minutes, but first half where they're letting them play and all that. But then once the fouls racked up and it was completely out of control, and look, this goes to the broader point of all of college basketball, but that's part of what makes college basketball less enjoyable for me to watch. Your points of,
I agree.
These are things we know about the sport is a problem. The other things, go to quarters. So I don't have to watch him from the stripe the final part of the game, you know?
I'm with you. These are all things, all that I agree with, and most people agree with, and these have been complaints for a couple of years now in college basketball. It needs to be addressed. The quarter thing, people have been saying for like a decade, I think, about men's college basketball.
Ever since the women's game especially.
Everyone else is in quarters, and you're just decided,
it's the actual in-game stuff down the stretch. Yes, Florida's defense gets some credit, but
a lot of it's X's and O's.
Final 3 possessions for Houston, they didn't even get a shot off, guys. Didn't even get a shot off.
I think a lot of it's, I know we're not going to dive into X's and O's, but that's actually what it comes down to. I feel bad for Emmanuel Sharp. You know,
But he also made a mistake there, Drew. Even if he
that's
did,
what I'm saying.
I
feel bad for him.
At least touch the ball and stop the clock, even if it's a turnover. He just stood there and hoped somebody would come and grab the ball. If he
it's your natural reaction.
I know, but if he touches it, it's a turnover. It's a travel, right? It's a travel. But at least there's, I don't know.
If they call it, maybe they blow it.
2.8 seconds, 2.4 seconds on the clock. So that's something that, unfortunately, he's going to have to handle and deal with for a very long time.
Back-to-back possessions were tough.
I hear you that schematically give Todd Golden and Florida credit for how they played. But like for Houston to not get a shot off in 3 of the final 3 possessions is that is bad basketball.
That's what I'm saying. It's not Houston's. I'm saying Houston's X's and O's. It's interesting. Not Todd Golden, Kelvin Sampson after the game, the way that the play was designed was not to get a 3 necessarily. It was a stagger screen set to get Sharp open, but the play was for him to pump fake and then drive. The thing was, Walter Clayton did an exceptionally good job of closing out.
That kid's a stud.
The screen wasn't set good enough. It's supposed to be, again, 2 X's and O's, but it's supposed to be an elevator screen where Sharp splits Francis and Roberts and Francis slide together to screen collectively. Clayton, 2 spread out, didn't happen. Clayton closes out. If Emmanuel Sharp pump fakes like the play was designed for, then he's able to either drive or, given Clayton was so into that closeout, he was all in. You have an open shot for the national title. If you pump fake and you take your time in that situation, didn't expect it. It's just tough for Sharp again to have that issue, and then the turnover before where he just tried to do too much on the possession. And ended up turning the ball over.
It's going to be a tough pill to swallow, probably, for Houston, knowing that they held Clayton scoreless.
I know, for 35 minutes or whatever, or 30 minutes.
At halftime.
30. They held him scoreless for 30 minutes of game time. Like, if you had said that going into the game, you'd been like, "Oh, we are golden." Like, are you kidding? We're good to go. We're going to hold their leading scorer, one of the best players in the country. We're going to hold him to nothing. Great, guys. No worry there. And LJ Cryer is going to play a lot better than him for a huge chunk of the game and still ended up like they just didn't like Houston going back to it. And this is why they were scrappy and they fought back and they would force teams into bad shots. But like, as somebody pointed out, it's like 10 minutes into the game. They were always going to have to win some slugfest.
Yeah, that was at halftime. That was the game they wanted. That was the game Houston wanted. Bigger picture now for Florida. We can get into this more later on in the show, but Todd Golden is now one of the youngest coaches to ever win a title. He's just 39 years old. And Florida's program, for after the Billy Donovan era, like they kind of were irrelevant for a decade. Like they were there. They just pretty irrelevant college basketball program. Now, where does he go in terms of the college coaching hierarchy? We talk about this new era of college basketball and having success. Look how they built that roster there at Florida. They have some guys that have been in the program, but the player we keep mentioning throughout this whole tournament, Walter Clayton Jr., was a guy that came through on a transfer from Iona, and he ended up being the best player on the court last night. Even with 11 points, he was the best player on the court last night. I understand what's his name in the first half.
Will Richard.
Richard was what kept Florida in the game.
Clayton was facilitating.
He was the most outstanding player, and named most outstanding player was Clayton after. But for Todd Golden, it'll be interesting to see a watch over the next year or two. I'm not saying they're going back to back or anything, but where does his coaching go from here, and where is he viewed?
Top 5 now, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's amazing. You win one ring, and all of a sudden it just changes everything.
There aren't that many coaches who have rings because they end up going other places.
Tom Izzo has 1 ring. He has as many as Tom Izzo.
Yeah, but look, we also know that Izzo has been in so many Sweet 16s, been in so many Elite 8s. He gets to be above the board. The real question for Florida will be, can you hold on to him for the long run because you're in the SEC, you're in a big school, or one of these schools, let's just say Hubert Davis is on his ass in a year, which he very well might be. Yep. They just lost one of their best players.
Honestly,
they just lost their top freshman in the country. Or
if let's say in 3 years Bill Self did retire, if Todd Golden's still doing it, he will be one of the hot names that people will be wanting them to hire. The same way we've talked about some other younger coaches in college
sometimes
basketball.
the NBA comes calling like they did with Billy Donovan.
Exactly what happened with Billy Donovan.
The question is whether or not how big of a program can you build with him and hold on to that to construct it. But yeah, I think you immediately have to put him in the top 20 college basketball coach, maybe top 10, depending, right? He's not going to go above any of the guys who deserve to be above him, right? Hurley, Self, Izzo.
Sure.
You don't get to just leapfrog because you win a title at 39 years old. You actually have to follow that up with like multiple trips to the NCAA tournament, continued success.
3 years at Florida. He was at San Francisco before. 3 years at Florida, and he's already got a national championship. That's
impressive. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, and the SEC we had mentioned they hadn't won a tournament since Florida won it the last time in 06-07. So they capped off a tremendous year for the SEC basketball. They were the best conference. They put the team through to the championship game.
Let's keep talking coaches, but let's go to the NFL because the folks over at Arrowhead Pride were talking about AFC West coaching, and it's just stacked, right? We've gone over the hirings of now Pete Carroll and then Harbaugh an offseason ago, and you just go through and Reed and Payton and Harbaugh and Carroll. It's the most stacked division we've ever seen from a coaching legacy standpoint and what these coaches bring to the table. And was just talking about, is this the makeup? People have been trying different things over the last 8-year run or whatever for the Chiefs. How is it just build up the defensive line? Is it trying to find the quarterback, of course? Is it we're going to hire Sean Payton? Is this the formula to knock the Chiefs down now? Just you're going to hope that you can, quote unquote, not outcoach them, but at least get a coach that's closer than ever to Andy Reid's level?
I think you had to. I actually think the plan is pretty solid. I'm not promising it will work for any of these teams. Like I saw Geno Smith say, feels like the stars are aligning for the Raiders. I'd chill a little on that, Geno, but that's fine. You just went with your squad. I'm not saying he can't say it. I'm just saying I don't agree with the comment in which he's saying. But think about the previous plan, which was let's just try to draft the quarterback better than Mahomes. That dream died. Like maybe in the early part of Mahomes, you had some like faint hope that you could just out-draft their situation or out-defense them. And we've seen a couple of teams. Out-defense was the first plan. That was when the entire division signed Khalil Mack, drafted defensive players. They all went like heavy. You know what we're going to do? We're going to stop him the way we've seen some teams in the Super Bowl stop him. We're going to build this elite level defense in the division. We're going to get this defensive minded coach. We're going to grind it out. That didn't work. That wasn't the plan. So now they've all just decided, what do we found? Future Hall of Fame coaches. And we tried to at least close the gap in the coaching end. And we'll try to close the gap in the quarterback end too. We know we can't close either. It's not I have to admit, not the worst plan either. What I can't understand is this is the second time in a row that the entire AFC West has decided to go with the same plan together. What are you guys hoping for? That everyone can get one win against the Chiefs and that'll knock them down in the division enough that if we're all competent together, we can get 2 or 3 wins against the Chiefs and make this a bit more of a fight. Then 6-0 again, the Chiefs go 6-0 against us or 5-1 against us every year. And together, collectively, we will be smart enough to like put a dent in this thing. Because other than that, I can't figure out why they all seem to have the same plan.
Yeah, I mean, some of there's a slight coincidence, which is when you've been embarrassing like the Raiders have, you want to bring someone that has some level of respect.
Yeah, stability.
And can raise the floor, even if there's a cap and a ceiling on what Pete Carroll can do in Vegas, and I think there is, and he's also not going to be there for 7 years. I mean, he's going to be there for 3 or 4 years probably and retire. I mean, let's be real. I understand he acts energy-wise like he's 50, but he's not. and so he, to me, is probably a 3 to 5 year coach in Vegas. But
that's why I think they might take Genty, by the way.
He raises...
They got to win right away.
They could. And he, no doubt, because of what he's done throughout his coaching career, Pete Carroll does bring that respectability to the franchise, and I think will prevent them from being a laughing stock. And you can say, well, that's a hell of a bar. Well, that's where they're at. That's how bad the Raiders have been. They have not had competent coaching. They've also made bad decisions. Geno Smith is not great, but he's a hell of a lot better than running out Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. And I understand Gardner Minshew's in Kansas City, but he's a backup.
Significant upgrade.
That there's a difference, and so I actually think that's why the Raiders did it to bring respectability. The Chargers did it because they felt like they were close, and in their mind they have the quarterback, and they needed a coach to elevate. The Broncos at the time, they were also similar to the Raiders for a couple years, where it's like, we're a joke. We're getting made fun of. We had Nathaniel Hackett as our head coach. We need to bring in someone that has some respectability that can raise, that can raise our floor. And Sean Payton has done that. So, yes, it's the same formula, but it makes sense if you think on an individual level for those franchises. Two of them were laughing stocks. And then one of them in the Chargers just thought they needed a coach to get them over the hump. They haven't got over the hump yet. They also didn't even make they were one and done in the playoffs again. But that was their thought process.
Yeah, I do understand. But, like, does it not seem funny to everybody that everyone has the same plan? Like, again, the last time, we talked about this off-season spinning by the AFC West about 3 years ago. Crazy. They all bought defensive end. They all bought corners. They all did like the exact same version of the plan. And then 3 years later, here we go again. And they're all like, yeah, future Hall of Fame coach. We all think that, I don't know if Harbaugh will be in the NFL Hall of Fame, but he'll definitely be in some kind of coaching Hall of Fame. As we'll have to win a Super Bowl probably to get into an NFL Hall of Fame situation. But he, like elite level coaches, just like guys that are pretty high respected. And then for the guys who can get elite level play, maybe a quarterback, the Herberts of the world. And then everyone else is like, well, what if we get competent play, right? Geno Smith is top 15 quarterback play. We understand we got to get back to it. But to approach it the same way. And I saw Carrington ask the question yesterday, which is just like, who's the worst coach in the division? Which is a whole nother way to look at this. It's not Andy Reid.
Well, yeah.
So we can start there. It's probably, oh man.
I think Sean Payton is actually the worst.
I think I'd answer Pete Carroll. That's funny.
I think it's between those two.
Why Harbaugh? What I mean, other than winning a college national championship, which Pete Carroll also did.
What's weird about
Harbaugh's
Harbaugh,
accomplished less in the NFL than the other
What's
two.
weird about Harbaugh is everywhere everywhere Harbaugh has gone, he has won. But also, after about 4 years, it turns into a disaster. He either leaves them behind with sanctions or just it all falls apart on him. So that's what's weird about his thing.
True.
Is like immediately he's going to have success, but I can promise you in about 3 to 5 years in LA, he's not going to be the head coach
So
there.
you're saying maybe it's actually Harbaugh?
I think there's an argument to be made in a very thin gap between the two. Or between the other three,
I
I'm
think
sorry.
it's close, yeah.
I would say that Sean Payton and Pete Carroll have had more, and they've all had, not equal because Sean Payton doesn't have any collegiate success, but one of them has the same amount of collegiate success as Harbaugh, but one has more NFL success. Now, look, one went to a Super Bowl and lost. We're talking about the difference of like one win and one loss, but Pete Carroll went to two and was a more consistent franchise for a longer period of time, to his point, than Harbaugh is like, we had a few-year run and then it all fell apart. Or we had a few-year run in college and then it all fell apart, right? Like, there does seem to be like a cap before Harbaugh's teams. They always get better. The second Harbaugh shows up, his teams are instantly better. But, like, there's also, like, a limit or a cap to the number of years.
Pete Carroll's got the Super Bowl. Sean Payton's got the Super Bowl. I mean, for some people, you just stop it right there between Harbaugh, Payton, and
Are we I guess that's the disparity. Are we talking entire coaching picture just in general as a coach? Because I think Sean Payton, you could argue.
I think in general as a coach.
As an NFL coach, I guess.
I think you could argue Sean Payton should have more than, for him to only have one and only one appearance, I believe.
We've talked
as
about
well.
that, yeah.
There's a lot left to be desired for what Sean Payton had, having Drew Brees and all of the resources that he had when, of course, he was there in New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, I make that argument, but, like, I mean,
I think that's
Pete
part
Carroll
of the
did get the best
equation.
years of Russell Wilson, right? I know what we think of Russell Wilson now, but, I mean, you got to remember, people thought of Russell Wilson as a top 5 to 7 quarterback for the entirety of the Pete Carroll run.
Sure.
Probably. I mean, or
So
a
does
pretty
it
good
help
chunk
the
of it.
argument? Does it hurt the argument?
Look, I've always thought Sean Payton's hurt by the fact that I think he underperformed considering the circumstances and the talent he had around him. Absolutely. Harbaugh, you could say overperformed because he took, Colin Kaepernick all the way to a Super Bowl. And that guy was out of the league. Look, maybe he should have been in the league longer, but he never got another opportunity in the league.
Yeah.
And there were still some limitations to what you were doing there. So, but he also didn't do anything other than that, right? Like, they were an okay team outside of that, but they weren't going to other Super Bowls or, I don't know. He didn't have like the sustained
It's not like he was
run.
Kyle Shanahan is what you're saying with the Niners.
Sean Payton kept going to the playoffs and stuff. It's not like he was just like in the doldrums. They weren't like bad.
This is why it's an interesting convo because on the text line 913-586-7965, a few people bring it up. Of course, the Bounty Gate stuff that was going on while Sean Payton was the head coach, and just like how much does that? The same way we talk about it with Belichick, how much is that for some people that takes you out of the running, right?
I mean, he wasn't cheating. He was just trying to hurt players. Does that make like it's not Spygate? It's not cheating to hit players.
It's a scandal. It's a scandal, but it
doesn't affect the play on the field. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because in a way it does. Like you're like, if any coach was allowed to do that, then would that have got better performance out of players? I don't know.
Right.
For Pete Carroll, unfortunately, a lot of people will always bring up not running the ball at the goal line in the Super Bowl with Marshawn Lynch. but he still got a ring. He should have 2 of them. That's the kind of stuff that will haunt coaches and their legacies for a long, long time. The point is the AFC West is loaded with coaching talent. And we're going to find out if it's enough to close the gap. I still think, going back to the bigger picture Chiefs narrative of the offseason, it is still fascinating to me, even pre-draft, that so many outside of Kansas City have just acted like the Chiefs have fallen off a cliff because they got their ass kicked in the Super Bowl, forgetting that they won
the Super Bowl
because they won 15, forgetting they won 15 games, forgetting that they actually, if you look at the roster and what they potentially may be able to do in the draft, the same question at offensive line is there, yes. But the idea like they're just now going to fall off and win 10 games and they're just not a factor in the conversation is hilarious to me. Like, fall off? Yeah, they're probably not winning 15 games next year. No
it's
kidding.
Not like Chris Jones retired,
It's not.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are still there. Like, last time I checked. Eventually, they're going to have Rice.
Actually, technically, they should have a better receiver unit than they had a year ago.
Yeah.
And the running backs are at the very worst the same.
Correct. So I don't get the narrative with that, but you're going to hear more and more noise all offseason about this is the year for Sean Payton or for Harbaugh to get the Chiefs and win the division, and that'll be the fun part of the year, right? To see if the Chiefs can prevent that from happening. Even though some of the betting markets still have the Chiefs, those betting markets still have the Chiefs winning the division. Those betting markets still have the Chiefs as like the second or third best odds or whatever it is to win the Super Bowl. But I'm just talking about the narrative that's out there. A lot of national publications, talking heads, etc.
Yeah. I think in Kansas City we're a little more reasoned about it, but that goes back to the same thing as like I felt like I was getting in arguments with national media or like even other people who were upset with the Chiefs. I'm like, hey, just to be very clear, it is better to go to the Super Bowl and get your ass kicked than lose a close game in the divisional round, in the AFC title game. It is better. You have done better to go to the final game and get your ass kicked than I played a close one in the wild card round. That's not your season didn't end better because you didn't get embarrassed in the final game of the season. I guess maybe it was easier to sleep at night versus just being like, honestly, it wasn't that hard to sleep at night. It's actually easier to get over the ones that they just like absolutely ruin you in a lot of ways, other than for the Chiefs case, they were going for a three-peat, which definitely hurts. Because it goes back to the other thing you're just talking about, like the people were doubting them. They're in the middle of a back-to-back-to-back Super Bowl trips with 2 wins. Like, I don't think I'm going to be counting out the Chiefs anytime soon. Thanks.
Up next, we're going to talk some Royals baseball. They're off to a 5-5 start, 10 games into this 2025 season. We'll be joined by the Executive Vice President and General Manager of the Royals, JJ Picollo. I want to ask him about what has changed for Chris Bubich, who is off to an unbelievable start. Plus, we'll talk about the back end of that bullpen next here on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Follow the station on Instagram for ticket giveaways and behind-the-scenes content from the show at The Fan 965.
Some of those teams in the AFC West looking for different atop the leaderboard and obviously the standings and the leadership aspect of their franchises. They're trying to figure out a new path. You could also find that new path in your career as well. In as little as 4 months with Centric.
They can help all kinds of people in all different stages of life. You work a full-time job. They can work around your schedule so that you can get trained in person or virtual at times that work for you. If you're young and you're like, I don't want to go the traditional college route. I want to get right into my IT career. That's available as well. Centric can help you with all different levels of programs, and you can get that degree, you can get that program in as little as 4 months.
That's the thing about, we keep mentioning 4 months, because think about, maybe nothing about IT right now. Like, imagine, Cody and I just walked in, know nothing about IT or anything like that. In 4 months, believe it or not, Cody or I could actually have a career in IT. That's how simple it is. And Centric will actually help you when you get through the program at the very end, place you in your first job. They'll work you throughout all of it.
Russ Mondry is the guy to contact. He's been doing it for 16 years and will help guide you through that career. Go to Centric.com to find out more.
Hi, Mia here at the winnings desk of the Missouri Lottery. So, I wanted to write a thank you note for every dollar Missouri Lottery players have given to Missouri and education. But that would be 8.4 billion notes. So to save a little time and a whole lot of paper, here's just one. Dear every single lottery player in Missouri, thank you for helping us give $8.4 billion to Missouri and education. Sorry, my trumpet's in the shop. The Missouri Lottery. Winners welcome and play responsibly.
Hey guys, it's Cody Tapp, and I want to tell you why I am so happy with the Awaken 180 weight loss at home program. Look, I'm nearing the end because I had a weight loss goal and I've already met it. I'm not even 6 full weeks into the program. Look, you're looking for a long-term solution to weight loss. That's why I'm looking forward to the idea that once I get into maintenance mode, I have free support for life if I want it. Look, I know if you've been sitting around, you're like, God, I just want to lose 20 pounds. I want to lose 50 pounds. It doesn't really matter what the number is for you. It's about that weight loss goal. Mine was 30 pounds for that weight loss goal. And I'm happy to say that it has been so easy to do it over at Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Shoot me a DM. Ask me. Look at the photos I've posted. If you've got questions, I'm happy to answer them for you. But they can answer them for you, too. Schedule your consultation today, 844-346-1800, or go online at awaken180weightloss.com and make the same decision I did. No extra medications, no extra gym, and no calorie counting. Go to awaken180weightloss.com.
What's up, guys? It's Drew. Could you benefit from a little extra in the bedroom? We all could. Blue Chew can help. Your partner wants you to do whatever it takes for you to make your sex life better. Blue Chew is that secret weapon for the bedroom or wherever you decide to get it on. The athletes that we talk about every single day right here on 96.5 The Fan are in peak physical condition all the time so that they can perform their best when they need to. What if you could be the same, performing at your very, very best? Turn oh no into oh yes with Blue Chew. Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. And if you don't like swallowing pills, that's no problem because Blue Chew's tablets are chewable. If you could benefit from a little extra in the bedroom when it's time to perform, visit BlueChew.com. We got a great offer for you. Go to BlueChew.com and get your first month free when you use our promo code KFNZ at checkout. Just pay $5 for shipping. Again, that's BlueChew.com, promo code KFNZ to receive your first month free. Then you'll be ready to chew it and do it.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. We can reawaken any space to make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Barbecue season is back. Hey, it's Ellen.
And this is Sarah Beth.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that zesty barbecue sauce. I love that it was a little sweet, a little tangy, and with the mac and cheese,
I feel like I tasted the brown sugar bacon first. It was the absolute best combination. Pro tip, 3 sandwiches are always better than 1.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and our Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
they accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover's accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Every day when we're on the road, people around us endanger themselves and others by looking at their phones while driving. There's the sneak-a-peeker who darts their eyes between the road and their texts, or the nightlighter who illuminates their car after dark. If that's you, reconsider before you find yourself becoming the fender bender-er, the got a ticket-er, or worst of all, the driver who killed someone. Put the phone away or pay. Paid for by NHTSA.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Royals coverage sponsored by Renner Garage Door. Forward and back, RENNER.
It's almost Andy Reid. The offseason is a perfect time for a $100 tune-up from Renner Garage Door. Get a free replacement quote today. Call or click rennerdoor.com. Renner forward and back.
RENNER. You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
First pitch to Isbell, and he hits it high in the air, deep to right field. Wallner turns around, watches it fly into the bullpen. A solo shot for Kyle Isbell.
Jake Eisenberg on the call last night right here on your home for the Royals, 96.5 The Fan, and throughout the season, like we have the last couple of years, we're always excited to have the general manager and executive vice president of the Royals, JJ Picollo, join us every couple weeks here on Cody and Gold. JJ, good morning. Appreciate you coming on the show. Let's just start for the first time really since it's opening day, obviously. 5-5, 10 games in. It's very early, but Chris Bubich, at least as far as we're concerned, maybe the biggest positive we've seen from you guys at this portion of the season. What's really changed for him? We saw how dominant he was in the bullpen last year, but now back in the rotation.
To be honest with you, I don't think anything's really changed. I mean, prior to his injury, he was in our rotation, and those first couple starts before he got hurt, we thought he had really turned the corner. He added the slider, which was a pitch that he always wanted to throw, and he sort of perfected it over the offseason. And just when we thought he was ready to be a regular in our rotation, he gets injured. So last year, I think we were just really fortunate that he was able to get back and not only pitch in the major leagues, but pitch in the role that he pitched in, because there's a lot of high leverage innings, some back-to-back outings, which is difficult on a guy coming off of, a Tommy John and a rehab. But very honestly, part of our confidence in being able to acquire India and using a starting pitcher was the presence of Chris Bubich. And his first two starts have been outstanding.
How do you handle like the long-term play with it? Let's just say he's going to pitch like this all year, which would make him a Cy Young candidate. But like, if he pitches at the level you guys thought he could do, how do you handle it so you get to let him pitch in September or October? At times you might really also want him,
Yeah, I think that's going to be something we're going to have to play out through the season. It's hard to predict. I mean, there's going to be times during the season where, he's going to get a little bit fatigued. And if we had the opportunity to skip a start, with an off day in there, the All-Star break will factor in. But, one thing that's really hard to account for is what his workload was really like last year. Because when you count his innings from the time he was in Arizona rehabbing through his rehab in Omaha, he pitched about 80 innings. And how do you account for the short spurts where he throws 3 out of 4 or 3 out of 5? And how do you translate that into actual innings as a starter? That's a really difficult thing to do. So we're just going to play it start to start. There's really not a lot of concern of getting him through the season. It's just a matter of how do we read it and how is he feeling? And if he's feeling good, we don't have any reason to hold him back. We're going to keep, I don't want to say push him, but we're going to keep allowing him to pitch and not think of the glass half empty. The glass is half full for Chris. He's really moving in the right direction, and we're excited for it. How he feels in August will probably determine how we go about getting him some rest along the way.
Chris Bubich, obviously been a huge positive 10 games in. Overall, just to this point, what do you make of what you've seen from your team coming out of spring training and starting the first couple games?
Well, I think, I'm glad we're 5-5, just the way we start out swinging the bats. But, the bats coming to a little bit, but I thought the consistency and the approach that we had over the last 3 or 4 games is what we expect. We had some scoring opportunities. We didn't capitalize, but we still managed to win the game. But when you look at our starting pitching, our bullpen, our defense, and our lineup, it's a pretty good team. Not ready to say it's the greatest team baseball's ever seen, but, we're in a good spot because the pitching is going to keep us in games. And, if we're ahead after 6 or 7 innings, we got a pretty good chance to win the game with the way the back of our bullpen's set up right now.
I guess, yeah, that's really what it is. You mentioned pitching. I think a lot of times people go to the starting end of it. I think we ran the numbers earlier, including Daniel Lynch. So if we include him in the Harvey, Urseg, Estevez combo, they've gone almost 21 innings and have only allowed a single earned run. I imagine that this is kind of exactly what you were praying for, JJ, when you were building the back end of the bullpen this offseason?
Yeah, no, we want, you want to, if you have a lead, you want to lock down that win. And I think we have the makings, not only, with the 3 that have been thrown the 7th, 8th, and 9th, but you mentioned Daniel. Let's not forget about Zerpa. Those guys can pitch in high leverage situations. So not only is it some power at the end of the pen, but we can match up a little bit too, having 2 lefties that we're not afraid to use. And Sam Long has been in high leverage. Last year, I was reminded the other day, it was in September and October that we were going to Sam Long in the 7th inning, the 8th inning. So, let's not forget him as well. So, there's balance there. And that's what I think we're most excited about is we have options. Like tonight's a night where, those back three have thrown 3 out of 4 days, and that's difficult on guys. So we'll have to see how the game goes. But tonight's a night where somebody else is going to have to step up and maybe finish the game for us, because this is about, the long run, not just the short term. And, these are where guys take advantage of opportunities when we get into situations like tonight, and they solidify themselves as a big part of our pen.
I've seen some like interview quotes, I think with Andy Rodgers and a few others. Daniel Lynch talking about high leverage. I wouldn't call it laissez-faire, but seem like he's not pushing you guys into, no, I want more and more and more of that yet. What has kind of his attitude been about earning those opportunities or taking advantage of those? Because last year he wasn't in the highest leverage for you. To begin this year, you guys obviously have those three at least that would seemingly be ahead of him for those spots. How is he handling asking for those opportunities or expecting what to do with them? Is it just about when he gets in that spot, making sure he does it well?
Yeah, I think it's more about just seizing the opportunity. When he gets into those situations, go ahead and perform like he has. I think the mindset's got to be the same. Just because you're throwing maybe the eighth inning, it's different, but it needs to be the same approach as if he's throwing the sixth inning, because the sixth inning often determines what's happening in the eighth inning. So all of those innings are important. So when guys get opportunities like that, we don't want them to change anything they're doing. It's really the same 3 outs you got to get. And if a guy can keep a clear mind and approach the eighth like he approaches the sixth, he's probably going to have success. Now that's easier said than done, because we all know the game gets heightened as you get deeper in the game. But the reality is, you don't even know where you might be in the lineup. You might be towards the bottom third of the lineup when you get that opportunity in the eighth. So that may be easier in the eighth than the sixth if you're facing 3, 4, 5. So every situation's a little bit different, but we don't want Daniel or anybody to change your mindset. Compete for those 3 outs like it's the ninth inning, because every inning can determine the outcome of the game.
We're talking to Royals General Manager and Executive Vice President JJ Picollo here on 96.5 The Fan. Obviously, MJ Melendez at the plate hasn't gotten off to the start that he would have liked, that you guys would have liked necessarily, but are you seeing over the last game or two anything different from him, at least when he steps into the batter's box? Is he getting closer?
Yeah, I think he is. And even though, regardless of what the batting average is, I think over the last 4 games, he's got on base 6, 7 times in that area. But I think he's made a little bit, of a change. I can't really, say I'm 100% sure, but it looks like his bat angle's a little bit different where he's starting. And he's on time a little bit more. The ball he hit last night was as good of a swing as anyone can take. I mean, a little more elevation, that ball's out. So that was a good at bat. The walk was a good at bat. One at bats he struck out. I probably shouldn't say it, but I don't know where that pitch was. And,
it was definitely a ball.
He's competing well in that at bat. So that's why we try not to get too result oriented. That at bat was pretty good. It didn't end the way we wanted it to end, but it was still pretty good at bat. So really 3 out of his 4 at bats last night were good. And guys need to gain confidence, and last night should be a big confidence booster for MJ. And even the prior 2 days, I thought he did some good things in the batter's box.
What about Mikey Garcia? We, going into the season, we were trying to figure out, is he not positionless, but with India and Massey and some of these guys playing outfield and infield, weren't really sure what fits. I guess first, how do you view him in center, and is moving around taking the pressure off the plate? Did he change things in his approach? And we didn't talk about it as much because obviously he's off to a good start offensively.
Yeah, well, when Mikel's swinging the bat the best, it's when he's using the whole field, and even more so to the right center field gap that way. When his bat and his swing is geared to go in that direction, he usually stays over the ball longer. His bat stays in the zone, and he hits line drives. I mean, he hit 3 balls on the nose last night. I mean, the first one was really good because there was a man on second, and he had fouled the ball off before that, and he's trying to shoot that ball to right field. Then he gets a pitch that's up a little bit, and he hits a line drive to right field for a single. That's when he's going good. He did that in the playoffs last year in Baltimore, New York. He did it early in the year last year. So I think for us, the challenge with Mikel is just trying to continually remind him that you need to use the whole field. He hit the homer early at home that was pull, and I was really anxious to see what he would do the next games, and he hit the home run to dead center. That's a great sign. But you know what he's doing? We love this. We want this from every player. The positionality is a little bit questionable. Like, where's he going to play every night? But right now, he's forcing us to put him in the lineup every night, and that's what we want. So, luckily, he can play positions. And to answer your other question, there is already improvement in center field. That ball he ran down in right center the other day. I'm not so sure he makes that play, 2-3 weeks ago while we were still in spring training, but he had a beat on that ball. He was calling run for off the whole way. He knew he was on it. He makes a nice running catch. And I think as time goes on, those catches will look even easier because he's going to get better jumps, better reads. He's going to accelerate. And when he gets to the point where he's catching the ball, he's not still going to be moving. He's going to be there and, catching the ball more to his side than on the run. So he's athletic. He's going to be able to do a lot of things for us defensively. And we all believe he's going to excel at whatever position he plays.
10 games in, I don't know how many of these pregame ceremonies you've had for different awards. I'm sure it doesn't get old doing that. Are you guys done yet? I feel like there's been 7 of them for some of your guys.
Well, the first day we did it, we won the game. So the next day I was down there. The guys started asking if I was superstitious. I said, no, it's just another pregame. And then we lost that game. So when I showed up the third day, they're like, beat it, get out of here. So, but no, it's nice. A lot of that stuff is happening early in the season. And, Bobby had asked him on the field at one point, he's tired of getting these awards. He said, no, keep them coming. So it's a good thing. I think it's great for our fans. I mean, Salvi got that Roberto Clemente Award at the World Series last year, but he got a nice standing ovation. I mean, of all the awards in baseball, that is arguably the best award because it speaks about who the person is. And then obviously Salvi's really talented as well, but it was nice to see our fans recognize him and give him a standing ovation for all the great things he does off the field. And it's what we want our players to be.
JJ, I want to ask you about just one minor league player because our listeners ask us about him. I know I'm going to ask about Jack Caglianone. It's only 3 games in, so I don't want to ask about performance in general. Just what organizationally for a player like him do you guys want to see at AA to know that he's ready to progress at AAA? So, what are the things specifically the organization is looking for him to do?
I really thought you were going to ask him about somebody else. So,
Carter Jensen. He's had a good start too,
Jack, Yeah, absolutely he has. He's been great. I think with Jack, I mean, it's really hard to, I guess, explain and understand. It's the quality of the bats guys are taking and who is he facing? Is he facing a quality, pitcher that can make pitches similar to the pitches that he's going to be facing in the major leagues? What's he doing against left-handed pitchers and what type of a bat is he taking there? We know he's got power. I mean, that's not, for him to hit a ball the way he did in Tulsa, that's not surprising to us. But the very next day with 2 strikes, he hits a line drive to left center field. Another bat, he was down 0-2 and he walks. That's more important to us in trying to determine how ready he is for the major leagues than seeing him hit a hanging breaking ball 460 feet. That he's going to do that, but it's how he handles his at-bats, what he does with 2 strikes. Does he recognize situations to get the run in because he's going to be in that category of run producer? But it's not going to be a small sample that we're going to make that determination. It's going to be a large sample. And, we haven't determined, is it 100 at-bats, 500 at-bats? We just have to have an instinct. We have people watching him every night. We have reports from the coaches every night. There is another step for him to take, and that's called AAA before he even gets to the major league. So, that's what we're looking for. We want to see the quality of the bat, the consistency, because we know one thing, it's a lot harder here in the major leagues because the pitchers are the elite of the elite, and we got to put him in the best position to handle that. So when he comes up, he never goes back, and that's the best way to handle players.
Well, I can tell you, he hasn't done anything to this point that hasn't calmed the fan base's excitement, which is that's something we get texts every single day about, which is fun, right? I mean, that's people should be excited.
Yeah, no, he's got one of the best prospects in the game. I mean, and that is exciting. So, I'm glad. I mean, I'm being very candid. I love when our fans are talking about the Royals, whether it's good, bad, one player, the whole team. That's what we do this for. We want our fans talking about what we have going on. And I think it's great that they're talking about Cags, and we are too, but they're, we're also watching everybody else. You mentioned Carter Jensen. I mean, he's off to a great start as well. And Gavin Cross, and, that team has got something. They got a lot of offensive ability on that team. They're scoring a ton of runs, and that's fun to watch. But again, with every one of those guys, it's all about the process of how their at-bats and how they are going and how they mature as a player, to determine if they're ready in the major leagues. All of these guys in the major leagues did great things in Double-A. If you go back and look at every one of our players, they've all done great things in Double-A, and that's the perspective that we've got to keep.
JJ Picollo, Royal General Manager, always appreciate it. We'll check in here in a couple weeks.
All right, guys. Thank you.
There you go. That's JJ Picollo, Royals Executive Vice President, General Manager. He'll be joining us as he has the last couple of years throughout the season. We'll be checking in not only at the big league club, but we'll be asking him a little bit about what we're seeing.
Large sample size, he said.
Yeah, large sample size. But, I mean, the excitement, nobody's saying not to be excited. Nobody's saying that at all.
I'm saying he's not getting called up tomorrow.
It's not happening in 10 days. Probably not happening in 30 days. Probably not, enjoy it. And we'll be keeping an eye. We've got our Jack Watch thing we're doing. By the way, if you were wondering, they did not play yesterday.
They're off. Minor League Double-A is off every single Monday.
Well, they're bussing, man. They're not flying. They're bussing.
So they play 6 consecutive days against the same team, take Mondays off, then play the next 6 days against a different team, then take Monday off in perpetuity. Now, one other player he had mentioned in there, and I'm not here to tell you, problem solved, don't worry. I do think, for as early enough as it is in the season, and I said the first month was really important for him, MJ has looked more comfortable the last 2 or 3 games. Is it problem solved? MJ is fixed? No, I'm not trying to pretend like it just erases how the season started when he kind of looked lost at the plate early on. But the swing he mentioned on the double last night, that ball was smoked. That was the best swing he's taken legitimately all season long. The best season he's taken. They're the best swing he's taken. And so the fact that he's walking a little bit, getting on base a little bit, hitting for a little bit more power, okay.
Get some confidence. Can you get some confidence going?
Time to get started. No more just let's start to make the at-bats look good. Now results need to follow, but he has looked more comfortable the last 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, the Royals back at it tonight. Game 11 of the season tonight against the Minnesota Twins. Vern's On Deck show starts, 5:30 again, I believe, tonight right here on 96.5 The Fan. We'll talk some more baseball, specifically that bullpen here in 10 minutes or so. We asked JJ about what they're getting from the back end of the bullpen, and it's been stellar. It's everything you were hoping you would see already out of that back end. But tonight, not everybody's going to be available, so somebody else is going to have to step up, or another 2-3 guys might have to step up. Hopefully the Royals in their spot. Obviously, with the lead they need to protect late in the game this evening. Before we get back to the Royals, though, there's kind of an interesting thing going on. I'll call it behind the scenes with
it was happening
with
in the annual meetings. They were getting tense.
With football, we know the Summer Olympics are coming up in 2026, I think it is as well, out in LA. And there's discussion, or 2028, and flag football is going to be part of it.
And we don't have to joke about the guy who's I'd be better than any quarterback in the league, and then we watch his highlight tape.
I forgot about that guy.
Do you remember his name? Do you remember his name?
Yeah.
Turns out he's 5'4", 140 pounds, and he's I'm going to dominate flag football.
And we know Patrick Mahomes and other NFL players are hey, I kind of want to be part of this. The league office, though, does want that to happen. Okay, so this is great. But the owners are whoa. They're being a little more cautious with this entire thing. And Mike Florio, in some of his reporting, said that down at the annual meeting, the league sees it as an opportunity for marketing, right? Market the brand globally. This is great. The owners are whoa, we don't want our star player that we're forking over X amount of money to getting hurt.
Oh, and missing part of training camp, hypothetically.
The Olympics are July 14th through July 30th of 2028. And any player who's participating, you're definitely going to miss part of training camp during that. I get the injury concern. That was my number one thing.
Robert Edwards got hurt in one.
It's not just because Robert Edwards
flag football game.
I think I get why the players want to be part of it, and I do think
you win a gold medal,
and that's something that you just I don't think you can deny. Let's say Patrick Mahomes. I don't think you can deny Patrick Mahomes the opportunity for that. But I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you I'm terrified, and I would be of any fan base and owner as well, that my quarterback, because we're just going to go with the most important position on the field, my quarterback who I have $300 million or pick any quarterback guaranteed in, that quarterback gets hurt and misses the whole season because of the Olympics. That does terrify me.
In a way, I understand. I really do. But it's flag football. The easiest. I'm not saying you can't get hurt just running, but they would be running anyway. They would be running at training camp. They would be running routes at training camp. It is the identical way they could get hurt in the team facility. Do I understand? You get control. You have control. You like it. It's jogging. I
just can't imagine. The Chiefs really get, I know they can tell him not to play basketball. You think Brett Veach and the Chiefs are going to actually tell Patrick Mahomes, let's say he's the quarterback that gets the opportunity. You're going to tell him that he can't go play for his country for a gold medal? During training camp for a week or two, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. We're not going to know the answer to this for another year and a half, 2 years at least. But that's going to be an interesting dynamic. How do some teams handle that? And by the time that happens, Patrick Mahomes will be, 32? Is that right? 32, 33, something like that?
But when you look at it, someone's like, hey, gold medal in flag football is F-tier gold. They said swimming, gymnastics better. I'm not saying the athletic accomplishment. I'll just be honest with you, though. If some of the best NBA athletes became gymnasts, they'd probably be very successful because of the level of athlete that they are. I don't know why you would prevent, because I'll just say Patrick Mahomes standing on the medal stand to win gold medal for the U.S. and the advertisement for your franchise on that is pretty damn good. Yeah. The NBA lets him play, and I know it doesn't directly
all the
conflict.
Leagues let him play. NHL.
All the leagues. So, you're the only one?
MLB lets him do the World Baseball Classic.
And they're taking away, in the NBA, I can still box out, shove somebody, push. The physicality of the game doesn't even change. In flag football, I'm taking away the single most dangerous part of the sport to do it for the gold medal.
Yeah, I don't think you
better
can,
than all the others.
I get the concern, but I don't believe you can tell a Mahomes, a Josh Allen, or a Tyreek Hill, or pick what Justin Jefferson, any of them, right? Like that, we think of the top players at their respective positions. Are you going to tell them they can't go and represent their country for truly a once in a lifetime opportunity? That's really, really tough to imagine. But the NFL also does operate differently than everybody else, and they hold themselves to a much different standard in their mind, right? So I don't know, man. I don't think this is a sure thing that they're going to allow them to do it. It's obviously the balance of what are the owners getting out of it too? Because the league wants it, but the owners, who are ultimately the boss of the commissioner and the boss of the league office, are saying we're not so sure. And how many players are we talking about, though? In all honesty, we talking about 10 players being affected by this?
20,
I
would say.
Whatever. I don't.
It might be more than that. I don't know how many. Because this works in the Olympics. It's if you got any kind of nationality connection, but you're not good enough to get on the USA team, you'll be like Mark Team played for Team Canada. He grew up in the.
You're right. It's probably 30 to 50 actually.
Yeah, it's a little more than you think, because if your grandma came from Italy, or you can go play for Team Italy, whatever. They'll find this works. They'll find other countries to represent in the Olympics. But the quarterbacks in particular, the most interesting one, because let's say Mahomes is the quarterback for Team USA. There's still other quarterbacks who are incredibly talented. I got to think Lamar Jackson would be the number 1 overall pick for flag football. If you can run,
yes,
and this is not
you got to be able
to
Lamar Jackson's the guy. Yes,
I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes is not the best quarterback on the planet. I'm just saying, if you're letting me choose any quarterback for flag football, and after 3 seconds he's allowed to run, Lamar, please.
Someone on the text line from the 816 says they're not gold loading his dryer. Let them play; they won't get hurt. That's true. They are professional.
How's the back?
Worse. Yeah, it's not good.
Oh, gold.
No. This is the second day, though, right? It's always worse than the second day.
This happened Sunday night.
It's always worse the second day.
It happened Sunday night, and yeah. In the middle of the night, I didn't sleep great last night. It stiffened up way more. It did. The back is not great.
I think you're gonna need to go see somebody to work on it a little bit.
I'm gonna give it another day or so, but it's not good.
Worse today.
Yeah, it's just I can walk. Obviously, you guys have seen it, but
you're walking.
Just sitting down right now, it's a pretty constant
pain.
Pain.
You need a brace.
Not great. I don't know. I need something, man. I need.
Might
something.
have some ibuprofen in the bag.
I took some a leave before I came into work today, but I don't know, man. I don't know what the hell happened.
Going down.
I was hoping to just get better here in a day or two.
Yeah, that's not what being over is.
Have you stretched it at all?
No, I haven't done anything.
Oh, well.
Other than heating pad and a leave.
Someone said it needs to be wet heat, is what they said on the text line yesterday.
Yeah, they said it dry. Yeah,
I'll be honest. I don't know if that's accurate or not. Do not listen to me. I don't know.
That sounded a lot like the scene from Major League, like the hot ice. It sounded like a lot of hot ice to me. But anyway, I don't know. Up next, let's talk more about the back end of the bullpen, though, that we were talking with JJ about. And is this going to be the next great 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the bullpen that we talk about for years to come? I'm not so sure yet, but we'll at least talk about it. And a huge shift is on the way in collegiate sports. That's next.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Bobby Witt Jr., and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Look, maybe you were getting a workout and your back started hurting. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you've been lacking motivation, gaining weight. You'll notice all these things. They can all be signs of low testosterone. At the Low T Center, you don't have to wait. You can just find out because they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's a simple test, on-site lab, so you get the results back right there. And it's not a typical doctor's office. They specialize in treating low T. They're not worried about others. They're worried about TRT, testosterone replacement therapy for each individual patient, optimized for each patient in mind. So not your just basic standard treatments. They got decades of experience helping patients just like you get back to the way you used to feel. Like if you're already working there, let people know how the Low T Center has helped you. They offer a $150 referral credit for each new patient that you refer. And at the Low T Center, they can evaluate your health for treatment of GLP-1s or other medications. So get back to your best. Don't wait any longer and go to the lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
The deals are hot, hot, hot this weekend at Hy-Vee. This Friday through Sunday, for 3 days only, the deals are on fire. Get boneless, skinless chicken breast, $2.99 a pound. 24-pack Hy-Vee water, $1.99. Red Baron frozen pizza, $2.99 each. And Coca-Cola 6-packs, just $3.69. Check out our low everyday prices on thousands of items. Stock up and save big this Friday through Sunday, only at Hy-Vee.
There's nothing better than breakfast at the Hy-Vee Market Grill. They have fresh, made-to-order breakfast entrees crafted with the highest quality ingredients, like Hy-Vee's famous biscuits and gravy, sunrise breakfast burrito, the brioche French toast, sweet cream pancakes, omelet skillets, and more, all served with a side of fresh and crispy hash browns. Kids 5 and under always eat free, and they serve 6 to 11 a.m. on Monday through Friday and 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Mornings just got a whole lot brighter with breakfast at Hy-Vee Market Grill.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, millions of men experience ED, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. At HIMSS, our own board-certified urologist, Dr. Peter Stahl, knows this better than anyone, and he knows that HIMSS can help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS.
Through HIMSS.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs. Options at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% less than brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings. Because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
Every day when we're on the road, people around us endanger themselves and others by looking at their phones while driving. There's the sneak-a-peeker who darts their eyes between the road and their texts, or the nightlighter who illuminates their car after dark. If that's you, reconsider before you find yourself becoming the fender bender-er, the got a ticket-er, or worst of all, the driver who killed someone. Put the phone away or pay. Paid for by NHTSA.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, cause you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
All right, Kansas City, this basketball season, as in, the National Basketball Association or baseball season, when your favorite stars do great things, you have an opportunity to win. Watching money over at Underdog. It's one of the leading sports apps that you can play in your state on the Missouri side. Like I said, you could be sitting at the stadium tonight watching the boys in blue and making those entries with Underdog. You can win up to 1,000 times your money, and you can bid or make a selection with as little as $1. So turn that dollar into $1,000 with your basketball and baseball knowledge. Look, millions of fans have already won billions playing at Underdog, and their app has over 100,000 five-star reviews with millions of players. So download the Underdog app today. Sign up using that promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, to unlock a special offer for up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon your first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concern with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch all the shows from your phone, desktop, or tablet. Your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, and Odyssey Sports Station.
11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. We'll get to the trash of the day in about 17 minutes or so. We're also 8 minutes away from talking about what could be a massive shift in collegiate sports. Now, there's still some hurdles to get through, but it looks like it's getting very close, and it could happen as soon as this July. We'll tell you what that is in just a bit. But we had JJ Picollo on the show. And if you missed any bit of that interview, it'll be podcasted. Also, we might play a little bit of that again in the 1 o'clock hour. We asked him about the back end of the bullpen and what they're getting out of Estevez and Ursek, Harvey, and Lynch. And he was quick to put a few other names in that same category.
Sam Long, who was pitching some kind of like leverage spots from last year, and Angel Zerpa, who'd been off to a bit of a rocky start.
And I know tonight, if they're in a situation where they need to protect a lead, Carlos Estevez, Lucas Ursek, probably not available given the work they have had the last couple of days. But right now, knowing that it's 10 games in, the grouping of Harvey, Lynch, Estevez, and Urseg, 20 2/3 of an inning pitched, 20 strikeouts, and a .44 ERA. We saw last night the one run given up there from Carlos Estevez. I don't want to put them in the category of what we saw in 14 or 15 yet. It is far.
You're not ready to call them HDH, huh?
That would be crazy.
That's what somebody asked on the text line yesterday.
Yeah, that would be crazy 10 games in. It really would.
Yes.
But if we compare it to obviously what the first half of last season was until Lucas Urseg arrived, and then even when Urseg was around, it was still really just him. And I know in the postseason they were able to trust Angel Zerpa. But this offseason, prior to bringing in Estevez, it already looked like it was going to become more of a strength. And now, clearly, this is going to be a strength. Now, maybe they have to mix and match the roles. Will Estevez be the closer all year? I hope so. Maybe not, but I hope he is.
I don't know why it wouldn't be.
So far, so good. And he's not going to be perfect, by the way. He gave up a run yesterday. Not going to be perfect. He didn't have great command yesterday, but he battled through. That's
he just needed to not give up 3 runs. That's all
Correct.
I cared about. Saves are saves. Sometimes the ERA, and I know that, someone's going to have, flashbacks to when they traded, Jonathan Broxton away, and he was bad for the team that eventually acquired him because he'd had a bunch of saves and a higher ERA despite that. But if you look at the combination, Estevez, Urseg, and Harvey have 14 2/3 innings. They have 14 strikeouts, and they have a .61 ERA. If you include Lynch, that ERA goes down to 0.44, 20 strikeouts, and 20 2/3 innings pitched.
Mm-hmm.
It has been everything you want. The best possible news in it is Estevez we knew was a really good back-end relief pitcher. That's why he cost a bunch of money in free agency to get here. Urseg was a setup guy for the A's, but had tons of control and big strikeout stuff, and we saw what he could do the second he showed up, but he was a little more of an unknown, I think, when Kansas City acquired him, but I feel like now we have faith in him. Harvey busted last year. Harvey pitched really well for the Nationals. Seems like he had been overused, and then by the time that they got a chance to use him, was hurt, and they never got a chance to see him. He's got a 0.00 earned run average. You're telling me now that 7, 8, 9, I don't have to shake in my boots? Great. The rest of the depth goal, I just feel good about. Look, I don't ever need to see Chris Stratton probably pitch regularly, but look, if he's pitching, the game's probably not in hand one way or the other right now anyway, and that's okay. Like, until he can find his stuff or not, they'll eventually just go down and go to Noah Cameron or somebody else in the bullpen or somebody else in the rotation who they want to get in the big leagues, and they'll find another guy who can get outs if he doesn't get around to getting them.
Feels like his role at this point should be, it's one of those days at the office, they're down 6-1 in the 8th inning, and it's just, you don't want to burn one of your top end relievers. That's kind of where his role should be at the present time, because he's just not been effective to this point.
I agree. Pitch a couple of innings in there. Lynch is the most fascinating part of the grouping for me, and the reason why I gave you the stats with him, one, because he is bordering very close on the longest consecutive scoreless inning streak for a Royals reliever ever, beating Wade Davis's.
I do think
Vern's right.
Context is needed on that, though.
Yes. All things are not created equal. Wade Davis was doing that scoreless inning streak when he was a 9th inning closer for a World Series contending team. Mm-hmm. His will be valued greater. But not giving up any runs for 27 consecutive innings is not to be washed away, as it is not important either, even if they were in low leverage. The key is work them into high leverage. Tonight, for instance, as JJ pointed out, and we had pointed out earlier in the show, Estevez, Urseg, and Harvey are all kind of overworked. Not overworked, but they've been used a lot over the last few games, which means I think at the very least, Estevez and Urseg are probably unavailable based on pitch count in last night's game alone. If you get to the 8th inning in a 2-1 Royals game or 2-2 Royals game, let Lynch pitch. Let's find out whether or not he's got it. I want to know if him and Zerpa can close down a game, because I know at this point that the other guys can.
What do you make of Carlos Estevez's celebration? Going all Dragon Ball Z.
The sound effect on the own sounds like kind of funky. Sounds like I'm at laser tag.
I'm aware of Dragon Ball Z, but I feel like that came out a few years. Like, if I was 3 years younger, I would have been way more into it.
Okay, so it was never like my personal show of choice, but I had a couple of friends who were really into it. So I've seen my fair share of Dragon Ball Z, because you got friends who.
And
really
then what is Bobby like catching the fireball or whatever?
I'm guessing he's just having some fun with it. I don't know the opposite end of, like, I'd have to see the full scene, but most of the ones that I were watching were like the big Goku fights or whatever back in the day. So as someone who only kind of knows a little bit about it, I think it's a fun celebration. I think it makes for a fun graphic and for the Royals.
Sure.
So yeah,
I never got into anime other than I watched the Pokemon series as a kid a little bit. That was about it, and I never got into Dragon Ball Z. Never was my thing. I know it's like very, 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 very popular, but never was my thing.
No, I've got nothing against it.
It adds something to getting a save. It adds something to it.
I think it adds a little juice. He's just a fiery guy. Him and Urseg both do not shy from showing emotions when they help close out these games. Look, I don't think they're the next HDH. I'm not willing to say that. But it is a not just small improvement. It is a night and day improvement from day one of the back end of the bullpen last year. Last year, with a 4-run lead, you had no confidence that there was any chance they were going to close a game out. And now they got 3 guys without an ERA and 1 guy with barely an ERA in the back end of the bullpen right now. Cool. That sounds fine to me, because it's 0.61 between the 4 of them if we include Lynch, or 0.61 if we don't include Lynch, and 0.44 if we do. That's a pretty good sign, I'd say, overall.
Royals, again, back at it right here on 96.5 The Fan tonight against the Twins, game 2 of their series against Minnesota. College sports last night, at least on the men's basketball side, wrapped up. Of course, there's still some baseball going on collegiately. College World Series will be in Omaha later on, and who knows, maybe we'll have some local schools represented there.
In the top 25.
They are in the KU baseball.
Wait, KU baseball's good.
Top 25.
Are they normally? This is a serious
they're normally
question.
Not that good.
Okay, are they normally bad?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like they're horrendous, but yes, they're a fairly new head coach here as well, and they're top 25. They're top of the Big 12 right now, so we'll see. It'd be pretty cool to see if they could go on a little bit of a run. It's not something that typically happens for
trying to get them in the College World Series. Will you go up to Omaha? If Kansas gets in the College World Series.
I've been there twice before.
Yeah,
it'd be pretty cool to go. If they got a lot of long ways to go before we're talking about that. But
what's the closest what is it? Super regional.
Well, it depends if they're Yeah, I mean, Arkansas is. I think the Razorbacks are one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country. So
aren't they always?
Yeah, they have a great baseball program.
I was like, they always didn't. Nate Morris kid play there for a little
Arkansas, the Texases of the world, Tennessee, Florida, obviously. These are schools that just always seem to have great baseball programs. So college sports, baseball, softball, everything's still going on, and there could be a huge shift that impacts both those sports and in every sport in college. It hasn't been approved yet, but yesterday one of the stories around the national title game with some of the reporters down there had to do with the House settlement on what's going to happen with revenue sharing for collegiate sports. So it still has to be approved, as I said, but if it goes into effect, this plan could take effect as soon as July 1st, and it would clear the way for every school to share up to $20.5 million each with its student athletes every year. So that would be basically the revenue model for college programs. What's tricky about this is, the debate about Title IX stuff, because if you distribute, it comes out to be $2.5 billion over 10 years to men and women who were college athletes as well between June of 2016 and September of 2024. So there's a little bit of back pay built in. Then the allocation that's proposed, 90% of the money would go to men's football and basketball players, 5% will go to women's basketball players, 5% will go to men and women on other teams. That's the class action portion of it. But moving forward, it's going to be the share of up to $21 million, and it would replace scholarship limits with roster limits. That's the huge part that's probably not being discussed enough. Like the dollar amount, you're like, wow, that's great. They can share $20 million. That's incredible.
Sorry, it's only 60 players now, not 85. What do college teams carry now, Drew? 85, 90 players?
For football?
For an entire season in football?
Oh, yeah. In terms of roster sizes, yeah. It hits at least 80, 85.
I gotta be honest. If NFL teams can make it work with 53, why the hell can't you make it work with 53 or 60? Why do you need 40 additional players?
This would allow you would directly pay players the revenue share, and then they still get full scholarships and NIL deals. But to make it work financially, you're just going to have roster limits, and not the same old scholarship limit stuff.
It basically kills, I think, and this is a college thing. I know that a lot of people, I think, who are just casual observers, people who just generally like college football every now and then, and they'll watch. It kills the walk-on, and I know a lot of people don't care, but we're never going to see a Rudy story ever again based on the way that roster sizes are. You're not going to let walk-ons are already getting shoved to the side anyways, but you're actually going to never see a story like Rudy essentially ever again with the way that this is kind of rolling.
I know that stinks, but I'll be honest. If you take Alabama's roster from 85 to 53, I actually think it will balance college football better. They can't stash the four-star
players are going to go somewhere else.
The four-star safety freshman who they're not even planning on playing that year doesn't go to Alabama in that case. He goes to a different school and is available to play for that team. I'm not guaranteeing it will do it, and there'll never be perfect balance in college football, but I do think it could provide balance for college football because these 85 roster limit teams can stash whoever the hell they want. They can stash great quarterbacks, great safeties, great offensive linemen. If you can't offer them all scholarships, well then great, they'll just go somewhere else. I don't know. It doesn't seem that bad to me.
I think you're right. Also, it will. I think it makes the portal a little bit worse actually because I couldn't go to Alabama, so I got to go here. But Alabama told me that they'll come back and they'll get me from this place if I transfer over because they just don't have enough roster spots. That whole roster management thing will be very interesting to see how it affects the portal in terms of what things look like.
Probably strengthens the D2 game, and then those guys will have to transfer up.
Because I think you're right, Cody. On the face of it, this is great because, guys that would go to Alabama who might be, second string actually have to go somewhere else and they might get real playing time. I think that's always kind of been the case, but now that there's true roster limits to the amount of players on a team, I think it makes it intriguing to see where the top 100 players go all of a sudden. And maybe, if you're Kansas or Kansas State or Missouri, I think you like it a little bit more with it being this way. I know that you obviously have your roster limited, but the chances of you getting a higher profile player at KU or K-State is maybe a little bit higher because of this sort of thing happening.
One of the things that was mentioned, and the reason why it hasn't been fully approved yet is, and this makes sense, the judge that was overseeing this House settlement, I guess, is saying, hey, the roster limit's like, you can't just have it go in effect immediately. Then you're basically going to, you would have current,
student athletes off of every team.
So one of the suggestions that she's asking him to fix before she approves is she wants the roster limits phased in, which makes sense, right?
Yeah,
Phase them in, so current athletes
are
are not going to lose their roster spot just like that. Phase this in for the next upcoming classes and work your way in there.
I don't know how to work around Title IX. I got to be honest. I have no idea how you can tell a court. Title IX has existed for a very long time. It is a great program. It exists for great reasons. I don't know how you say, we're going to spend $20 million on football and basketball, not for softball or gymnastics or hockey or any of these others. They get zero. It is and especially depending on the athlete. Let's just say Livy Dunn is kind of a good example because how marketable she is. It's like, how do you make these determinations where they do or don't have to be paid? Anybody can make NIL, that's good, but how do you circumvent Title IX in this case? And I don't know that you can. I will say, I think this is like a false flag or something. Every time we talk about paying NIL, paying college, every time it is always, it's going to kill all the other sports. And I think that NCAA's done a really good job marketing it as making it seem like it's the death of every other sport. It hasn't been. The last 20 times you told me it was going to be the death of every other sport that colleges do. So I'll be honest, I don't really believe you that it's going to kill.
We're already seeing
it's
it happen.
It's going to kill Ohio State hockey this time.
We're already seeing it happen though. Like Stanford,
There's
I
been
believe
some schools that have cut back. Yeah.
Pac-12 in particular, with that stuff happening, they're getting rid of their swimming programs, which have been very historically good in that conference.
I don't think it's the death of all collegiate sports, but it is going to have drastic implications.
It kills the Olympic sports
for a lot of the non-revenue sports, and that's the reality as we're going away from amateurism. That's just where this thing is trending. And the Title IX stuff is going to be really interesting to see how that plays out moving forward. And for all these schools, I think part of this too, and why people are skeptical, because on the surface you hear $20 million shared to athletes every year. Like, this is a great thing. It's definitely better than what they used to have. But still, ultimately, this huge settlement, much like a lot of these, the lawyers are also getting a huge chunk of this money involved as well. So it's even less money than what actually gets. That's just the name of the game. I understand it, but
that's how suing people works. You get more
deal,
for you, but
the complaint
theirs.
from athletes like Livy Dunn and others is that a lot of this was a deal negotiated, of course, by the lawyer. The athletes feel like they didn't have much of a say. Now, there's a lot of people listening that are probably saying, "Hey, you're getting a share of $20 million. You were never getting that before. What are you complaining about?" It's not a perfect deal. Settlements are never going to appease everybody involved. But,
and I think that's where now that they're becoming employees, potentially you potentially look into a union. Is there something where the players have more of a voice in this conversation? I think one of the things too that's interesting.
Some player safety protections. Get some stuff for yourself.
Especially with the medical stuff. That might be the biggest thing, because there's people whose athletes' careers are totally ruined by college sports. Not that they were going to be great in the pros anyways, but they don't have a chance because of said injuries. Is you're getting rid of now with this, the boosters are still, of course, going to be there. They've always been involved, but you're getting rid of agents as well, where the schools are handling everything now. The players don't need agents to do this. They can self-negotiate everything. They can get every little penny that they deserve for themselves. They don't have to give any fees away. All of it's designed by the school to be paid out from there. There's people within every organization now. You got GMs, you got operations people, you've got the people who facilitate NIL stuff anyways within the schools. Everything will be through the school, which I think actually helps things a little bit.
I think they said any NIL payment over $600 will have to go into a review process or something. I'll just be curious. Hopefully there's not some
There will be, of course.
With the review process. I know there will still be backdoor deals.
I was like, wait, are you thinking that there was?
I'm talking about with the NIL review stuff. No, of course there are still going to be schools that circumvent it. I mean, that's never going away. That's just never going away. Anyway, thought it was interesting. It could take effect this July, but it's something that's been going on. And yesterday there was a hearing on that. So let's get to the trash.
Trash of the day.
This one involves a restaurant, Cody, a little controversial in Thailand. So a restaurant in Thailand is being accused of, quote, fat shaming. Okay? They're offering diners discounts if they can fit their bodies through spaces with varying widths, as detailed in this Instagram post that we came across. So basically, you would get a 20% skinny discount if you can fit your body through like, a set of skinny bars or whatever it may be. There are 5 categories ranging from 20% off for customers who can fit through the smallest space to a 10% discount for navigating the medium slots, and finally a full price for those who can only navigate the largest gap. And there's video of this like chart, and you can see like how narrow the 20% one is. Like I don't know if we're all getting 20% on this show, guys. I'm looking at it's pretty. I don't think we're getting 20%. I think we're in that 15 or 10% discount, maybe.
Okay.
We definitely are at least getting one of the discounts. We're not. I don't think we're getting the 20%. What do you make of this? This is happening in Thailand. Like, it's the weird balance of.
I mean, they're not saying you can't eat there, right?
Is it still? It's still discriminating. It's still a little bit of that. It's a tricky. It's why it's under a lot of scrutiny there in Thailand.
I mean,
I
what's the
think
difference between this and like a senior discount or a discount for, like, they know it's going to cost them less money to feed you. If you're well, hypothetically, I mean, that's not necessarily, it's not a one-for-one, but they're, it's a gimmick. I don't have a problem with gimmick things. I think this is no different than it's like your meal's free if you eat this 72-ounce steak. I have less chance of doing that than somebody who's like a professional eater or eats more, they're not stopping me from trying. You can still try to fit through the gate.
Yeah, I think the thought is the people that are pushing back on it, you walk in and you order the exact same dish, they're going to, let's say, charge you more than the person that weighs 115 pounds.
They're going to charge you the normal rate. More is relative, right?
Wow.
If this is the standard going rate for any person who walks to this door and decides not to walk through that screen, well, then I don't think they're necessarily doing anything wrong. You're right. If they upcharge me for being bigger, that seems worse.
Yeah, it's not like they have a scale when you walk in. It's like, hey, you gotta.
Well,
there's
these skinny. I mean, if you look at the article, there's these bars that you have to try to weasel your way through.
Definitely not.
There's no way we're getting the max discount. Nobody on this show is getting the max.
That person looks like they weigh 105 pounds.
You think so?
Yes.
I haven't seen the photo.
Yeah, I mean, it's
might be
true.
I can weasel myself
one
through.
of them is like, it's very,
okay.
very narrow.
Well, okay, yes, I have no shot.
Yeah.
I would get a discount.
Like, you're
though.
pretty skinny. You probably get the biggest discount on the show, but like.
Oh, I think I would. Yeah, I think I would.
But there's still like a limitation. You're not there. And again, you don't have to, like, this is always like, this is a bit of like free will.
If you want the 20% discount, just go to the gym,
Or just don't go to that restaurant if you're offended by their policy. Like,
like you said, though, it's not like you can't eat there.
There are tons of businesses that I do not go to because I disagree with either ownership or policy based. You can make those same decisions for this restaurant. No one's forcing you to eat at this restaurant, I guess, is my stance.
Yeah, so
Make your own personal decisions on where you frequent a place.
This is in Thailand, 20% skinny discount. That's the trash of the day.
How do you think that would actually go over here?
Horrible.
It'd be a disaster. It'd be a mess. People would lose their mind. It would be a mess.
I mean, if the food was banging, like it was so good, it was one of the top places, like top local joints in the city. All of a sudden, you get a discount if this happens. That doesn't stop you from coming in and eating.
He needs to go somewhere else. You think this place is fat shaming? Go somewhere else. That's fine. I mean, I don't blame you for thinking that they're fat shaming because they're just saying only skinny people can get a discount here. But just frequent a different business that doesn't.
It seems like it would be a terrible business model, though. I will say, from a just alienating people. You're right. You don't have to go, but it seemed like that'd be a terrible.
I think it's like they're trying to get people in through the gimmick.
Do we know if how long this has been going on for? Like, have they lost money? Have they actually, increased their?
I have not been to Thailand. I do not know.
Oh, I didn't know if it said in the article. Is what I was saying.
Oh, it did not.
No.
I mean, not that I can see. But yeah, I don't. Again, it seems like kind of a weird. It does seem like a weird gimmick, I'll say. But I've also, like, I don't know. I've seen those other ones where, like, yeah, maybe there's a scale. I can't remember now, but there's other restaurants that I think that have employed this gimmick. Not here, but it feels like it's overseas more common. Also, people have different, like, this is sucky, but like different cultures judge and view, and like there's a whole different, like, it might not be weird to the people of that country to, like, they might experience more fat shaming, unfortunately, in a country, depending on what the cultural standards are.
So is it a buffet? I don't know if it said the restaurant was a buffet, because that would make even more sense to do the gimmick there. Someone says, Cody, you lose 30 pounds. Now you don't care about fat shaming.
That's not it. I didn't say. I just said I just wouldn't go to that business if I was, like, that's all.
And then we got this person. I wouldn't get any discount because my muscles are too big to fit through.
I like the way that sentence reads. It's just funny. just too strong, you know?
There might be.
Alex been going to the gym. He's too jacked.
There might be some individuals that struggle to get through, you know? Might be.
That pole vaulter from France.
He might, you know?
He might have different problems, you know?
Yeah, you have to make it through without any part of your body touching. So there could be some problems for a lot of people.
Wait, your body can't touch?
No, I just made that
up.
Okay.
I was going to say, nobody's getting through.
No, I have no idea. All right, up next, we'll get to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. What is happening in the AFC West on the coaching front? Is this actually the solution for some of these teams? And we'll take a look at another mock draft. We're a little over 2 weeks away from the draft.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Maybe you're worried about a future discount you may or may not get. Maybe just looking to make some life changes. You can, thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss. They were saying I just lost 30 pounds. That's what I've lost thanks to them by giving them a call, 844-346-1800. Go online at awaken180weightloss.com and find out for yourself how the program works. I can tell you a couple of things. No medications, no extra gym, no calorie counting. That's not how the system works. And after you reach your goal, like I have, today is the last day on program, then I got to go into maintenance mode and receive free support for life. I got to have those weekly calls, those check-ins, ask questions, get recipes, things that will continue to help you stay on path where you want to be. And if you're looking for something like that, like I was, why don't you check them out? Go to awaken180weightloss.com, find out for yourself, DM me if you want to find out more, or you can just give them a call, 844-346-1800.
Looking for the best food, drinks, and game day vibes? The Landing Eatery and Pub in Liberty has you covered. Happy hour Monday through Friday, 3 to 7 p.m. with great drink specials. Game day buckets, 5 beers or seltzers. Keep the party going Saturday and all day Sunday. Catch every play on over 68 TVs while enjoying our massive 102-item menu. Love live music? Our neon-lit smoking patio has bands Thursday through Sunday. Don't miss out. Check out our daily specials at landingeateryandpub.com.
Honey, it's me, your wife. Spring is here, and our house desperately needs the experts at Powell Exteriors Casey for siding, windows, entry doors, beautiful decks, patio covers, roofs, and more. Get ready for summer at powellcasey.com.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights, at home or at work. We'll make your happy place your own. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Some things just go together, like peanut butter and jelly, or a Casey's spicy chicken sandwich and a 49-cent medium fountain drink, or a Casey's breakfast sandwich and a 49-cent fountain drink, or even Casey's limited time Italian deli sliders and a 49-cent fountain drink. You get the idea. It's not crazy. It's Casey's. See store for details.
This basketball season, when your favorite stars score buckets, we're alley-ooping you an opportunity to win money from watching sports with Underdog. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can play now in Missouri. If you want to win up to 1,000 times your money, you can with Underdog. To play, choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats, points, assists, rebounds, and more. And what I like most about the Underdog app is that they've got your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from, and you can create entries with all basketball or do like I do, mix and match across other sports. Plus, you can play with as little as $1, and if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Download the Underdog app now and sign up with the promo code BOB to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code BOB to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 and over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
So, your small business is outgrowing your garage. You could go online, find a space, and get catfished. Or you could work with an agent who's a realtor, here to guide and help protect you from the surprises you didn't see coming. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. Right by you.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Catchy tune, right? But don't let the urge to sing along distract you from the truck drifting towards your lane, or that lane-splitting biker creeping up beside you. Fortunately, every Hyundai offers advanced safety features that can alert you to potential dangers around you. And Hyundai has over 130 IIHS Top Safety Awards since 2006. Because Hyundai is always working to ensure the road doesn't... IIHS Top Safety Awards include Top Safety Pick and Top Safety Pick Plus awards to Hyundai vehicles from 2006 to 2025.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag with a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, Junior Hot and Crispy Fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
It is the Chiefs Red Half Hour. We'll get into some draft talk here in just a bit, including what one of the latest mocks have the Chiefs doing at pick 31. I know Jay Binkley, Chris Nocero have their new mock draft out. Character concerns. They also have a draft special coming up this Thursday night. So you want to check that out, 6 o'clock this Thursday right here on 96.5 The Fan. We're also just over 2 weeks away from the first round of the draft and our draft party at the Landing in Liberty. Everybody from 96.5 The Fan is going to be hanging out there. We'll have a live show from Chris and Bink, and your chance to win $965 plus a Juwan Taylor autographed helmet if you can pick the draft correctly. You do have to be in person up at the Landing in Liberty. We'll have some sheets there for you to fill out, but it has been a packed house. Every year we have done this, and I'm pretty certain it'll be our biggest one yet, quite honestly, at this point in time, given the changes in the prize and everything like that.
Should be a great time. $965 to the winner in the autographed Chiefs helmet. That'll certainly drag him in. Plus, Binkley, because we know he's our resident draft expert, him and Chris Nocero. Binkley will be joining us on Wednesdays up until the draft, so we can get some draft thoughts with him over the next few weeks. I love getting some draft thoughts with Bink. He also likes...
This is his Super Bowl, man. This is his Super Bowl.
I've only announced on the air one draft crush. I'll be honest, I'm up to 3. So we're at some point going to have to discuss this. And they come in varying rounds. I want to be very clear. They're not all potential first-round picks, although there is another one in the first round right now. I've started eyeing some running backs that I believe will not be in the first round, although admittedly I don't really know that.
There's always surprises.
Yeah, so we'll see. I have zero. I'll be honest. I don't think I'm going to come up with a single wide receiver draft crush that's realistic, other than maybe Luther Burden.
You don't like Isaac Tesla?
I told you, dude, he stunk. I don't know why we're just pretending like being like a 400-yard receiver at an SEC school deserves to be a third-round pick. He's like a sixth-round pick. They take him in the sixth. I'm in.
Yeah, he's more like a fifth or a sixth. Yes.
Yeah, they take him in the fifth or sixth round because he's just an athlete. Cool, I'm down. But like third-round pick just because he can jump high.
There are
out.
some things when, like I mentioned,
he's a combine freak. That's why people are interested. Yeah. High upside developmental player.
There's times where I mentioned some of these players that we go through to Bink, and he's like, oh, "This guy sucks." Like he just
is that how he feels about Tesla?
that or about the guy who we're looking at doing the mock draft. It's like, this person's terrible at mocks. Don't pay any attention to them.
I don't really know. We looked up the NCAA. Who's the most accurate mocker right now? Does that same website you looked up for
Not
the draft?
Not same website, but
I want to know the most accurate mock draft.
There
people.
are. I mean, there is There is a site or something that does a spreadsheet over the last 5 seasons. Somebody over at Sharp Football Analysis has been the most
tracking
accurate mock drafter.
Oh, okay. Not Warren Sharp himself, but somebody who works for him?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Brendan Donahue.
I'd like a Brendan Donahue mock at some point, Drew, when you get to the Sounders. So
yeah, we can.
It doesn't have to be today, but one of the times we play the Sounders later this week, I'd like a Brendan Donahue one so we can get a sense.
All right.
Let's talk about the AFC West, though. As you'd mentioned, it's the Chiefs' red half hour. I was trying to think about how I think what's happening in the AFC West is they've decided to collectively try to get together to beat the Chiefs because they realize no one individual team can do it. And the most recent plan, which is different than the one they had 3 years ago, is what if we try to close the coaching gap significantly while our quarterbacks are still viable? Bo Nix, Geno Smith, and Justin Herbert. And look, Justin Herbert maybe has got some better upper end potential than the other two, but until he realizes those gains, I'll be honest, I'm not going to keep putting him into the conversation of top 5 to 7 quarterback, maybe most talented, but certainly not performing. I feel like they all decided to collectively get together and be like, hey guys, nobody can be a laughingstock or nobody else is ever going to win the AFC West besides Kansas City. So can we agree? No one gets to be a joke anymore. We all have to have real quarterback. We have to have all real coaches now. No more Nathaniel Hackett's. We got to get Sean Payton. And they're like, well, that made them kind of decent. So no more Antonio Pierce. Was that the most?
Yeah.
No more Antonio Pierce. We need a real head coach. Ooh, Pete Carroll, former Super Bowl champion. And they all decided that they needed to do the same plan in order to compete in some way against Kansas City. And they're hoping as a collective. That's what I think is happening. As a collective, they think they can knock Kansas City back closer to the pack.
Yeah, I hear you. So they have all hired
I'm not saying they had a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be amazing. If I found out there was a secret meeting between the 3 AFC West teams to try to find a way to be more competitive against the Chiefs, that would be my dream.
They have definitely gone with the same path of established, respectable coach to bring stability, get us off the doormat of the division in their mind, although I still think the Raiders will be there. But Pete Carroll brings stability, legitimacy to the Raiders organization, even if he's only going to be there for 3, 4, 5 years because of his age. But they're going to be well coached. Like you know that. Now, does it mean they're winning 9 or 10 games? No. But are they a 3 or 4 win team with Pete Carroll? I do not believe so. I think this. Now, what does that get you? If you're a fan, I don't know. You're not going to be happy with 7 wins. But my point is, the bar has been raised by hiring Pete Carroll. The Chargers, when they brought in Harbaugh, they felt like they have the quarterback and they're one step away and a coach away. We'll find out. First playoff game in year 1, they lose right away. Sean Payton, you mentioned Nathaniel Hackett. Before, they didn't have a real head coach. And they bring in Sean Payton, and while it didn't work out with Russ, they obviously had success last year. Is it enough to knock off the Chiefs? I do not believe so yet. But the division, no other division has the coaching pedigree that the AFC West has, and we've maybe never seen it in the NFL ever.
I'd have to go through like every team in history, but I'd be hard-pressed.
Andy's got the 3 rings. Sean Payton's got his ring. Obviously, Pete Carroll's got his. Harbaugh doesn't have a ring in the NFL. He's got a national championship,
He has coached in a Super Bowl.
He has coached one. So this is the, what does that get you? I don't know. It brings some respectability. But I don't think it's, it's more about how bad some of the franchises have been. You're done trying to hire the interim guys. You're done trying to hire the next up-and-coming head coach, and they said, screw it. We're going to go get the guy that we know can coach in this league, has had success, can bring some respect to our organization. To me, that's what all 3 of the other organizations did.
I guess the way I would view it as a downside if I were the other teams is you're still worse at coach and you're still worse at quarterback. And there's nothing you can do about that, right? There is no coach you can hire. There is no quarterback you can draft that resolves that issue. So I understand that you're kind of stuck in that regard. But if this plan works and you're slightly more competitive than you were and you maybe get a couple of games from the Chiefs, the division comes back closer to the pack, so you actually have a chance to compete for it. It's not just dead November 1st and there's some hope. What's the best case scenario? You got this coach until he's 80 in 4 years? I got to be honest, and I know that Andy Reid will retire eventually and then maybe you can ride it out. But if you draft the young up-and-coming coach and you find the next Sean McVay and you get the right guy, you get Ben Johnson and it's the right hire, well, then Andy's gone. At least then maybe you have a scenario in which you have the best coach in the division. Sean Payton is the youngest, I guess, maybe of the 4. How old Sean Payton?
You're probably right.
Yeah, he's probably younger. I don't know.
Harbaugh's 61.
Payton's 61.
Andy's 60. What?
Payton's 61.
Okay, so Harbaugh and Sean Payton are about the same age. I mean, maybe if they coach into the Andy 70s, you get 10 years, but I don't know. Maybe Sean Payton does want to coach for 10 years, and I'm off on this, but it doesn't feel like they're going to be able to like outrun Andy Reid. And if you continue to not compete for division, you're just going to get fired anyway. If the Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders all have these veteran coaches, and none of them ever compete for they don't win the division, and they just lose in the second round of the playoffs, they're going to get canned in 4 years anyway, and they're going to run into the same problem. I feel like getting the younger guy might actually be a better plan. I also just think it's a bad idea for everyone to try the same thing. They're all trying, legitimately, the identical plan to try to take down the Chiefs. And they did that. The reason why I feel like it's going to fail is 3 years ago, they did that same thing. Every single team in the division went out and spent a bunch of money in free agency, all at the same positions, all at the same time to try to make a run at the Chiefs, and it failed. Like, so you're just going to do the same plan again? Anybody want their own original thought? Or
well,
you guys just thinking like that?
It is a different thought process, though.
It's a different process than the last time, but it's they're all on the same plan again, I guess.
But I guess that's part like we weren't taking it literal, but like it sounds like now it seems like you like again they didn't all get together and decide to do it. So I don't know why it matters if they're all doing
timing,
it.
I guess.
Yeah,
if that's
no
the
doubt,
point.
no doubt. Yeah,
they're coming to the same conclusions even though they're having separate meetings.
They're trying to find different formulas. Ultimately, it is. You have the quarterback? I still think the Chargers have the right quarterback. I understand Herbert has not been what everybody initially thought he could be. I still think they have the second best quarterback in the division, and I don't think it's close. I know Bo Nix, everybody loved in his rookie year. I got
to see more of Bo Nix before I'm ready.
Herbert is still the second best quarterback in the division. I'm sorry. So that is still the biggest issue for all these other teams. Like, is there another level to Bo Nix's game? Does Geno Smith have another great year in him? Geno Smith, 2 years ago, was really, really good. Really good. Got credit to him, revitalized his whole career, and he's now making good money.
He's a top 15
But the last year or two, he's been very, average. He's been very average. And that might just be what he is at this point. But it's an upgrade for the Raiders, but I still think if everything went perfect for Pete Carroll, I'm talking about everything went perfect, they're an 8-win team. Most likely they're a 6 or 7 win team again.
I don't know, Genty and Bowers. I mean, I guess there's like some scenario in which they just like are really good offensively.
Well, obviously, they want to take that jump, but I think even more for the Raiders, you can kind of make the argument they're doing the long game where they're trying to make that job. At least by the time Pete Carroll's done, they're trying to make that job one of the more desired positions. Where with Antonio Pierce, nobody wanted that job. Like I don't know if anybody wanted that job, and I know that it's different with the NFL compared to college or other sports, but just trying to maintain some level of consistency where whenever Pete Carroll's done, to have that be the quote-unquote top job in the market, like the Bears or whatever the case is.
I feel like those jobs are always related to the quarterback, not like we've been doing some winning. I always feel like the most appealing jobs, the reason why the Bears was the most appealing job to Ben Johnson and not some of the other jobs is because Caleb Williams was there, not because the Bears are not they're the opposite, actually. They're one of the worst run franchises over the last 15 years.
Yeah, but isn't the argument that you've made before, like, why not bring in the new coach and let them draft the quarterback rather than draft the quarterback and then bring in the coach? So
I'm just saying if you're a coach taking the job, a lot of times it's appealing to do it.
100%.
Like if you already have the coach.
You would like to think Ben Johnson doesn't take that job unless he obviously feels very highly about Caleb Williams, right? I mean, otherwise, if you're like, no, I don't think that guy has it, I don't know why. Well, then why would you take the job? I mean, I do think. Well, yes, we're saying with the Giants that they shouldn't maybe draft a quarterback because the next regime is going to be stuck with blank quarterback.
That doesn't mean you shouldn't take him, but I think just thinking of the long game of Pete Carroll's a good enough coach, Geno's good enough where. And you can get a roster around Geno where when it's time to move on from Pete
they're
Carroll,
trying to bring respectability to the franchise. I mean, that's ultimately, I think, what's happening in Vegas. Bring some respect to the franchise over the next couple of years so they're not in a hole.
In fairness, it worked with the Chiefs. Andy Reid and Alex Smith brought them to stability, and then they were able to take their swings.
All right, Drew, where are we going?
We're going to the Athletic. Nick Bumgardner. We're going to take a look at
Is he related to Madison?
Or Brian?
I don't think so because the last names are spelled the same or spelled differently.
Okay.
This
is it spelled like Brian Bumgardner from The Office?
It's Baumgardner. Anyways, this is a 3-round mock draft from
there's so many rounds.
Nick Bumgardner. We're starting to get into that time where it's not just the 1-rounders anymore.
Okay.
It is the multi-round mock drafts. Some interesting ones throughout this, but we'll start with the Chiefs, of course, pick 31. He has them taking Donovan Jackson, guard/tackle, out of Ohio State. This is the description that he gives.
3 tackles go above it, too.
This is the description he gives. Again, is Jackson can be inconsistent with his hands, but has the look of a possible long-term starter at guard or tackle. A balanced, explosive athlete with very good length. Spent most of his career at guard at Ohio State before moving to tackle, in which he did a good job of. Simmons, the other guy, who's going to be selected.
So is he a guard or in the NFL, or is he a tackle?
He is a guard.
They're taking a guard in the first round.
That's the
just to compete with Kingsley. So now you've just written off last year's second-round pick to have no hope?
Well, he's saying this is more of a long-term option. So you might play Kingsley here, but this is the guy that...
Why can't Kingsley be a long-term option? He's only in year 2.
I'm with you.
Maybe because he never played guard like that, where this guy he's a true guard at Ohio State.
The only way this makes sense...
He's like Joe... He did at Ohio State what Joe Tooney did, essentially, for the Chiefs last year. That's what he did.
The only way I think this makes sense, it's not that Kingsley can't play guard, it's that they suddenly are not confident they can get a long-term deal done with Trey Smith.
Yeah. I think
that
would
all tell the thing. Then if they drafted a guard in the first round, I'd say, wow, maybe they really think they can't get this thing done long term with Trey Smith.
It would be stunning for them to then to draft a guy and then get the deal done with Trey, or vice versa, of course.
His comp is Wyatt Teller, by the way.
That'd be a good pick. Wyatt Teller's a good player.
Yes.
I mean, look, if we know he's Wyatt Teller, is that actually a really good pick all of a sudden, or is it? Well, they don't need one because they got Kingsley.
No, I think that it's
hard. If they have
to...
Kingsley and Trey Smith, I don't think they need one in the first round. They will draft a guard.
I don't think they need Wyatt Teller.
They will draft a guard. I'm fine with them. It's kind of like what we said with running back. I'm fine with them drafting running back or guard. I just don't think at pick 31 it makes a lot of sense. That's all.
Who do they got in round 2? Do I like this pick better?
Dylan Sampson, running back out of Tennessee.
Okay.
One of the multiple running backs.
Very interested.
Going to be around in that range. They get 2 picks, of course, in round 3. Jack Sawyer, edge rusher out of Ohio State. Of course, very good career at Ohio State at 66, that pick from the Titans. And then down at 95, Bumgarner's got them taking Vernon Broughton from Texas, defensive tackle.
Never heard of him, but...
He's one of those guys that is just...
D-tackle, I like that.
So he has them taking
SEC.
2 Ohio State guys. Again, do I have to bring up what we said yesterday? They're going to take 2. They never drafted 1, but they're going to take 2. I don't know. Jack Sawyer.
Warren looking, and it's intercepted at the goal line. Unbelievable! Wow, Jack Sawyer.
I didn't know what call is
That's
that?
why I played. That's why I played it. I knew Jack Sawyer. That was yeah.
It is interesting. I mean, in terms of Jack Sawyer as well, he's not the youngest individual. If I do stand correct, I mean, okay, he's 22. He's been around college for a long time. Feels like he's older than what he actually is, which is actually a good thing.
On the flip side, the Tennessee running back Dylan Sampson, he hasn't turned 21 until September.
Dylan Sampson is
able to get a second contract, even though you don't necessarily want it. Here's what I hate about this mock. Is that here are the picks that are available after Kansas City selects a guard at 31. At 35, Luther Burden goes. At 36, Walter Nolan goes, the defensive tackle that people aren't even sure is going to be there. Eriche, who I think, or Ursary, how's he pronounce it? The kid from Ursary, the kid from Minnesota that people think might actually be able to play tackle, goes after that. I just don't want to guard in the first round. I don't know why you wouldn't try Kingsley, and in the worst case scenario, you have the guy who started guard for you in the Super Bowl, the AFC title game, the last 6 weeks of the season. You have a safety net at guard if Kingsley can't play it. A guy who played it the entire year, and this time a real left tackle will be to the left of him, not a guy playing guard at tackle. I did see, what was it, yesterday? 2 days ago? I saw that Jalen Milroe accepted an invitation to go to does that mean he's going to the first? He accepted an invitation to be at the draft in Green Bay. We think he's going in the first now?
It usually means that the grades, there's a belief that he could be a first rounder, yes. Doesn't always guarantee you that, but yeah, maybe he's a late first, maybe he's getting selected at pick 28. Maybe there's a team that trades back into the first round and get the Chiefs out of the first round.
I don't care if they trade out of the first round this year. If they ended up at like 42 and 57 or whatever, like, I don't know what. I'd have to look at everyone's picks, but you get the point.
Bumgarner has Jalen Milroe going 42 to the New York Jets. There is an interesting nugget in this mock. I don't know if you guys saw it. Pick 21, Shedeur Sanders outright to the Steelers. No trade up, no trade down.
That's the dream. I think that's a dream scenario.
He's falling to 21?
There's other people who have him falling outside of. He have him falling outside of 5, outside of 6, 7.
I could see him falling outside of 5, but he's going to pass the Jets and get to 21.
If he gets
the Jets are on the clock, and Sanders. I know they signed Justin Fields to a 2-year deal, and I understand. Aaron Glenn said, they think they're about to have Justin Fields just completely open up his entire career right before our eyes kind of thing.
And that's happened recently, so people are probably bigger believers in that possibility.
If he gets
in
past
New York with the Jets,
if he gets past the Saints at 9, he might fall all the way down.
Yeah, I think
21.
Yes, if he doesn't get taken by the Jets or the Saints and some of these,
He might drop to 21.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is do I buy that nobody else will then say, wow, he's at 8-10, he's at 18, why wouldn't I trade up inside of 21?
Why wouldn't the Colts do it? What the hell are they waiting for a quarterback? They've already told you they hate Anthony Richardson.
They have Jones and Richardson already.
They told you they hate both. Nobody likes either of those quarterbacks.
But they have both of them.
Yeah,
they have both, and they have some other areas to address. I don't know. I don't believe Sanders has fallen to 21. That's wild.
If you look at,
if you're looking at the teams that are actively looking at quarterbacks, it is kind of a little more limited at that range. But I don't know. I just
don't buy a lot of the noise. I think so many people have intentionally put out stuff to discredit Sanders for a variety of reasons.
From the Deion Sanders Colorado thing, and then people are deciding he's less of a prospect because essentially the way he's described as a prospect is he essentially has no real major red flags as a player. He's pretty good at most of those things. He's also an incredibly accurate passer, which will help him and everything.
The one major red flag is that he takes too much time to process things, which is what led him into getting sacked as much time as he did. There were people who I saw, I can't remember who it was. Was it Trayvon Diggs? Somebody watching his pro day, patting the ball before he throws. So like it's a tell, and people are like, you're not going to be able to get away with this at the NFL level. And they're saying,
pat the ball.
I know, but I'm saying he did it in college. He's doing it at the pro day. And there's guys who are players now that are saying he's not going to be able to get away with that in the league. I'm just telling you now. And I think Trayvon Diggs was one of them. But
By the way,
guys who are in the league, you're not going to be able to, it's not going to fly.
Sanders is 6-1 to get drafted by the Steelers. It's not like a complete long shot, but
I think Sanders will be fine. But that's one of the things going around is him.
That's probably the best place he can go.
Time.
They got wide receivers.
Sure.
They got an established head coach. They've got a winning culture.
Sanders going to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a year when Rodgers decides to play football or not.
I saw the same headline you guys did 48 hours ago, and I kind of refused to guess where he's going because the headline yesterday was he's either playing for the Steelers or he's not playing football. I'm like, yeah, we know. I don't need a report on that. There's nowhere else for him left to play football. Mm-hmm. If he's not a Pittsburgh Steeler because he's decided to wait until at least April 8th to make any kind of determination about what he wants to do it. The Steelers obviously made an offer. They would obviously like Aaron Rodgers to be their quarterback. I don't know. I just put him on Hard Knocks, and I might actually watch if it's Sanders and Rodgers with Mike Tomlin. I did see. Do you guys see that they changed the rules so the Chiefs could be Hard Knocks this year if they wanted to be?
Yeah, we had on the rundown on Friday. I don't know if we actually got to it though, honestly. But yes, playoff teams
mentioned it.
Yeah, playoff teams can be part of Hard Knocks now. So.
Last time the Chiefs did it, it was at the bleakest conceivable moment, roughly, of their franchise. It's a pretty tough time. It was not going great with Todd Haley.
Have they announced who the offseason is going to be, or are they not doing an offseason one?
I don't think I've heard since North Carolina.
Remember that was the issue is that nobody was willing to do it.
That's right.
Because of how stupid the New York Giants looked for doing it. Not for doing it, but how stupid they looked after doing it. When his kids in there telling him,
that's because
they're getting rid of the playoff exemption thing because they need more teams.
That's because they stepped on their own toes. Sorry. I mean, that's nothing to do with that's not Hard Knocks' fault that the Giants screwed up.
Correct. But teams are terrified of something like that being out there.
It's a public, it's for the same reason you protect from a PR angle your business. It's they realize how dumb they look. How dysfunctional you look as an organization when you make bad decisions and then it's all public for anyone to view. Your kid's telling you the correct quarterback to draft. And
that actually is a fair argument.
Yourself can't figure it out.
Yeah, you'd rather avoid the public humiliation.
If the Steelers were on this and we're talking about them following the Steelers, could the Steelers draft them? Sure. Can they wait to 21 or could the Steelers trade 2 spots up? Because there's still the reason why the Steelers at 21 is interesting for Sanders is the thought would be, well, then is there another team that would see the fall and want to climb back in and
be
jump ahead of the Steelers? That's the thing.
It may be a big jump, though. I mean, you're talking about jumping from 32, 34, 35 to 21.
Yes, one of those teams who traded down.
I think the Saints could be really interesting because I know that it's not the best spot in terms of cap situation, but in terms of offense, I mean, Kellen Moore and Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave. I mean, you're in a good spot where you don't have Arthur Smith as your OC and you don't have to deal with that headache. Not that it's a problem.
If you're Cleveland, why wouldn't you go from 33 to 20 so you could actually have a NFL possibly caliber?
That might be the team that makes the most sense.
That's the last place I'd want to go. That's legitimately maybe.
Is it?
I think if you made me choose any franchise to go to, I was the number 1 overall pick, any franchise to go to, I would choose the Browns last. Dead last. Even before, and look, the Jets would be down that list. But if you made me choose
the Jets
all
are too good on paper.
32 teams to go to right now in the NFL, the Cleveland Browns would be my even with their defense, would be my dead last choice of team to be on.
Yeah, I think there's obviously 3 teams
City,
come to
culture,
mind.
winning.
Well, just like, Cleveland. Yeah, I think Cleveland and still the Giants organization and Jets organizationally just
at least I get to live in New York.
You get to throw the league neighbors.
I mean, I guess. I'm also paying taxes up the rear end, and the cost of living is insane there. But yeah, versus some of the other markets. I was talking more Jets and Giants as in I don't trust their ownership, and it's a disaster.
Totally. They'd be on the list. I'm not. Up until 2 years ago, the Commanders would have been like second to last.
They got a new owner, and everything's great now over there. Everybody thinks they're the best. It's amazing how quickly things shift when you get Dan Snyder out of there.
They're probably just better run. They're probably not even like the best run organization. They're just actually run like a competent.
And right now they look
team.
smart, and their fans love them because they found their franchise quarterback. Ultimately, that usually is what solves the problem too. If you actually find the franchise quarterback, everything seems to work out pretty darn good for you once you find the franchise quarterback. It sounds simple, but it's obviously hard to find that. But once you do it, man, it just changes everything. We all know that here in Kansas City as well. Up next, let's get to what's trending, and then back into the national championship game last night. The Florida Gators are national champs, but what kind of game did we actually watch? We seem to disagree, and what does it mean for one of the coaches' futures in that game? That's next.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Vinny Pasquantino, and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Spring in Kansas City comes with severe weather. Obviously, we've had that over the last few weeks, including those high winds. Well, if you got roofing needs, Century Roofing, they're the one you want to call. CenturyRoofingKC.com had them out at my house yesterday. I told you the wind had gotten a piece of the shingle on the back of the screen porch, wanted to take a look at it. He said, look, he said, look, other roofing company might offer you a chance to just replace this whole thing and do it. I think it should be repaired. I think it's got a lot of life left in it. So let me fix this thing. I'll come by tomorrow. We'll get it all patched up. You'll be good to go. And you'll get at least 5 more years, if not more, I think is the way he put it, out of your roof. That's what I like, honesty. I like a company that's been voted best of Johnson County 3 years in a row, have handled over 30,000 roofs. Don't come just knock on my door and promise me, they'll take care of me in the long run. No, a warranty I know they'll stand behind. When a company's been in town for 35 years, they've got the experience and the staying power of a company that's going to stand behind the things they repair. They'll offer a free roof repair or replacement estimate. If you just want to see where the damage is, they'll help you know. If it's warranting, filing a claim with your insurance company can help you with that process as well. If you have roofing needs, Century Roofing is the one. Go to CenturyRoofingKC.com and tell them that Cody sent you.
The deals are hot, hot, hot this weekend at Hy-Vee. This Friday through Sunday, for 3 days only, the deals are on fire. Get boneless, skinless chicken breast, $2.99 a pound. 24-pack Hy-Vee water, $1.99. Red Baron frozen pizza, $2.99 each. And Coca-Cola 6-packs, just $3.69. Check out our low everyday prices on thousands of items. Stock up and save big this Friday through Sunday, only at Hy-Vee.
There's nothing better than breakfast at the Hy-Vee Market Grill. They have fresh, made-to-order breakfast entrees crafted with the highest quality ingredients, like Hy-Vee's famous biscuits and gravy, sunrise breakfast burrito, the brioche French toast, sweet cream pancakes, omelets, skillets, and more, all served with a side of fresh and crispy hash browns. Kids 5 and under always eat free, and they serve 6 to 11 a.m. on Monday through Friday and 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Mornings just got a whole lot brighter with breakfast at Hy-Vee Market Grill.
As you prepare for Easter and Memorial Day family gatherings, don't forget Gates sauces and seasonings. They're great on all meats, fish, chicken, and veggies, as well as hot buttered popcorn. A topping for your dips. Or sprinkle Gates seasonings on your chips and nuts for that extra flavor pop. Nothing says Easter Sunday or Memorial Day like a Gates party tray. Or use Gates sauces and seasonings to embellish your home-cooked meal. Gates Barbecue. Thanks with love.
Regardless of what you may think or hear about the real estate market, you can sell your home right now. It takes a skilled real estate agent to help you maximize the sale of your home quickly and effectively. Dawn Sharp and her team are the first call you should make. With a customized and strategic marketing system, Dawn can help you get your home sold. Contact the only agent I would trust if I needed to sell my home. It's Dawn Sharp and the Sharp Homes team, brokered by Epic Realty. Visit them at homesforsaleinkc.com and start packing.
Men, here's the truth. In the bedroom, good enough isn't really good enough, is it? This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And if your erectile dysfunction is making intimacy less enjoyable for you and your partner, give us a call today. Because whether your ED only happens sometimes or all the time, it's time to stop good enough and time to start really good. At Heartland Men's Health, we're experts in treating ED. Whether it's only mild or moderate, or even if it's severe, our treatments have success rates of well over 90%. And because we have a variety of treatments and can even combine protocols, we can likely get you performing like you haven't in a long time. You could even last up to an hour or more and make sex great again for you and your partner. So make an appointment and be done with good enough. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600. Or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices to serve you.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
Get one free set of brake pads when you buy 2 brake rotors. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Offer in-store only. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Spring cleaning is upon us, but there's one meaningful box that you don't throw away when cleaning out your closet. It's the box filled with your family's important videotapes, film reels, and photos. Hi, I'm Adam Baselogger.
And I'm Nick Mako. We started Legacy Box over a decade ago to help families organize and update their analog media to digital.
Legacy Box is simple and easy. It works and is safe. Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box.
And Legacy Box has been featured in Good Housekeeping, The Today Show, and Rachel Ray.
Legacy Box is like magic, converting your shoebox of memories to the cloud or thumb drive, ready to watch and share.
Declutter your closet by digitizing your media. Become more organized and accomplished, knowing your family's recorded past is safe forever. Take advantage of our spring cleaning sale going on now. It's the easiest task to check off your to-do list.
For a limited time, you can get started for just $9 a tape. Visit legacybox.com/value to get our $9 sale. That's legacybox.com/value to get our $9 offer. legacybox.com/value.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 biggie bag with a junior bacon cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, junior hot and crispy fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Your chance to win $965 plus an autographed Chiefs helmet as part of our draft contest when we broadcast live from the Landing in Liberty during the first round on April 24th. The Fans Draft Party. 96.5 The Fan. KFNC FM and AM. HD1 and HD2 Kansas City. An Odyssey sports station. What's trending?
What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. We have a new national champion on the men's side of things. That's the Florida Gators, their win against Houston last night. We're going to talk more about this game after What's Trending, but the Gators did erase a 12-point deficit against Houston, the third largest comeback in men's national championship history. And for those of you that are a little sicker than others, the 2026 national title odds are already out, despite 2,000 players being in the transfer portal and nobody knowing their rosters.
I don't have any idea.
Duke is the early 2026 favorite. Kansas has
Flags coming back or something.
It's just Duke. I guess they just same with Kansas. Kansas is like 16-1 to win the title next year. At a couple of books already.
We can actually talk about that here in a minute. Is after we talk about the national championship game. The theory that Cooper Flagg, once he finds out which terrible team has the number one overall pick, be like, pass. I'll just make money in college and wait for a slightly more functional organization. I know, but like maybe you get a better draw of it.
Who has who right now? Because remember, NBA does draft lottery. It's not just the worst record.
So the Wizards and the Jazz probably have the biggest. So the Pelicans are in the running. Zion and Cooper Flagg would be nice.
I was talking to somebody that works in DC over the weekend about that, and they're like, they said the Wizards have been so bad for years now, even though it's an NBA franchise, and he does sports radio there. And he was like, we don't talk about the Wizards. Like, think about that. The NBA, one of the four majors, one of the four major sports leagues or whatever, and they don't talk the Wizards. That's how bad he said. Nobody goes to the games. It's horrendous. And so they're all like begging for Cooper Flagg to just literally change their entire franchise the way that some players people thought would do for others. Like, obviously, the Spurs have been much, much better, but when Wemby, it was a huge celebration when they got Wemby. At the time when Zion was going to New Orleans, that was a huge deal. Ticket sales went through the roof, all that. Like, it's a huge deal. The draft lottery for the NBA, by the way, is just under a month away.
Kind of crazy. I saw a stat that Jahlil Okafor was the last top 3 pick in the NBA draft to play in the national championship game.
Oh, wow.
So, like, the guys who, like, go at the top of the NBA draft aren't even playing in the college basketball national championship game anymore.
Someone asked, what are the odds for Missouri to win the title next year? They have the same odds as K-State right now, 100-1.
101.
Oh, it's got to be depressing as a Missouri fan to know how good of a year you just had, how
These
bad
rosters aren't even set, though. That's the joke.
And they've never even made a Final Four. They don't get, like, better odds than K-State. Next up on What's Trending, the Royals continue their... What? They haven't. The Royals continue their series against Minnesota tonight after getting the win and getting to 5-5 yesterday. Overall, although Lucas Ursak almost got ejected, it seemed like, because of his bad gray glove, even though Baldelli was ejected earlier in the game. Royals are 5-5 right here tonight on 96.5 The Fan. Cole Reagans versus Pablo Lopez.
Okay.
On the mound. I don't know what the over-under on runs is tonight, but I'm guessing low.
Should be a pitcher's duel, but just when you think it should be, it's going to be
8-9.
8-7, 9-8 type of baseball game.
I'll bet it's 7.5. I'll bet it's like that low.
Probably. Here we go. I mean, quick answer for you. It is 7.5. Royals are slight favorites tonight against the Minnesota Twins. Elsewhere, something we touched on a little bit earlier, there could be a huge shift coming to college sports. There still has to be approval from a judge in regards to the House antitrust settlement. Basically, this would allow colleges to directly pay players who will still get full scholarships and NIL deals, but you will have not scholarship limits, you will start to have roster limits. Barring any changes, this will take effect July 1st, and it would allow schools to have a share given to players, I guess, at this point, athletes, $20.5 million each with its student athletes. Sounds great. It's better than what it used to be. There's still plenty of issues with this, though. There's Title IX implications. There's also the roster limit deal. Like, what does that mean for... The idea would be they would potentially phase in the roster limits, but a big change, and, of course, the end of amateurism and collegiate athletics is very close to happening.
Next up on What's Trending, don't forget our NFL draft party at the Landing in Liberty 2 weeks from Thursday. First round of the NFL draft, where you have a chance to win $965 and an autographed Chiefs helmet, plus a firm handshake from Alex Gold as the winner, you know?
I was wondering where you were going.
Handshake.
I didn't know where you were going. I didn't know where you were going with that.
Just a handshake. You know, you're a professional.
A handshake.
A handshake. Maybe you could talk him into doing a shot. Who's to say?
Oh, yeah.
Who's to say?
Yeah, we can.
I try not to take shots on a Thursday night.
Well, I like, a single one. We're a single shot.
Shots.
Well, we're all the way up in Liberty.
If the Chiefs
some of us have to drive 45 minutes back home after the draft.
If the Chiefs take Derek Harmon, I'm sure Cody will have a shot with you because that's his guy.
If they take Harmon, I almost said something like really stupid, like rounds on me. Like, no, I'm not doing that. Nope. I remember how busy the draft party gets. Get your tables early. I will not be offering that. I want to be very clear. I will not be offering that. One round for one person will be. I'll buy one person a drink if they take Derek Harmon. How about that?
There you go. Sounds like a deal.
We get more bonuses down the year, maybe down the road. We could do another like a tab or something. I'm open to that.
That is what's trending here on Cody and Gold. You guys can hit us up on the J Southland Tow Service text line 913-586-7900. 965. Let's talk more about that national title game we mentioned in What's Trending. Of course, Florida, the new national champs, 12-point deficit erased against Houston, third largest comeback, in men's national title game history. And we've talked a ton about on this show. The three of us have varying views of just college basketball as a whole. One, just level of interest, but also how we saw the tournament going and what was it a good tournament? Was it a bad tournament? We talked a week ago about, hey, it's an all chalk Final Four. Drew and I kind of liked that because hopefully we lead to better matchups with acknowledging still that, hey, the tournament as a whole did not have the upsets people wanted, but hopefully the payoff would be a great 3-game Final Four. And I think we got that. I really do. I think we got that. Obviously, our bracket challenge winner, by the way, congratulations. We'll get in touch with the winner of that. So it was a big night for some of you trying to figure out who was going to win and determine our prize for that. And Houston going down eliminated, unfortunately, a couple of you from that. But I felt like while we acknowledge the issues college basketball has, we saw last night, review after review after review. The refs in the first half called the game completely different in the second half. All that is true. I'm not disputing that. But I think if we look at the 3 games we got for a Final Four, I was very much entertained. I think it was a wildly successful Final Four for college basketball. And for Florida, look, Houston didn't show quite like Duke, but it was a bit of that down the stretch. 3 straight possessions where they didn't even get a shot off.
So the game was close. I would prefer a close game versus a not close game.
Sure.
I'll admit, some of this could come from the fact that I think college basketball in general is a bad watch. Okay, so just in general, I've got an issue with the way college basketball typically is played in a game. So I'm going to admit my bias up front. Horrible gameplay. Oh God, unwatchable. It was 10-10 after 10 minutes. There were 78 fouls in the second half. It became a ref show in the final 2 minutes. It was slow and clawing and pretty boring, from a gameplay standpoint. When the game got close late, obviously, am I invested? Sure. Do I prefer that? I'm not here trying to make up some false thing that I wish there was a 10 seed who got waxed by 15 instead. No, I'm happy the game was close. Come back late certainly helps increase the game. I'm not saying that was the worst college basketball game I've ever watched either, but it was. I'll just be honest. It was tedious. It was a tedious game for me to watch, in which I felt bored for a decent chunk of it because of the style of play and the game plan. I'm not even saying that that's not the style of play that those two teams play.
Number 1, number 2 defense.
It is. I think it kind of speaks to college basketball and how nobody's really good at scoring anymore. And then I got to watch it. I'm like any sport. I like touchdowns or runs or baskets.
So I hear you.
I didn't get many of those.
I hear you. And you did say to start, we obviously, because I think that's important. And
I think it's important to admit that as part of the conversation.
Because I think some of the things you mentioned are very evident the last couple years in college basketball. But I also think a little bit at the end, it was venturing towards the things that anybody just doesn't like. If you don't like the NBA, not you, in general, if you don't like the NBA, you say, they don't play defense, which is an incorrect, just low-hanging fruit thing. I think you mentioned maybe a few low-hanging fruit things there about college basketball. Doesn't mean they're wrong, but just I think it's the stereotypical, hey, if you're just not a big fan of the sport, what people will bring up. The referee thing is 100% with you.
The first half, everybody knows that.
First half, second half, they met at halftime and said, wait, we're allowing them to play too much. This can't happen. Let's slow this game down. That seems like what happened.
What if we drag this thing to a halt? It looks too fun for everybody.
Now, I will say, though, you watched more than you would let on. Houston, whether it was playing Kansas in the Big 12 regular season or whatever, Houston, a lot of their games are defensive, kind of ugly basketball games. That is who Houston is.
Slow on the pace.
And then you have Florida, who doesn't mind playing some good defense as well, and that's where you get the mix. Now, if you wanted just a more up-and-down game, Duke, Florida would have been way more entertaining from that perspective. I'll totally concede that. Duke, Florida would have been way more of an up-and-down, just free-flowing game. That was just never going to happen last night. The review stuff is the biggest problem I have with college basketball. This has been going on for probably 5 years, honestly. I hate how every single player or coach inside of 2 minutes, when the ball goes out of bounds or whatever, Cody, it's automatic. Oh, let's twirl the finger around. Got to review. That's become an automatic thing people do. That has to be fixed. But I to say I wasn't entertained, no. I was entertained. It wasn't boring to me. But college basketball issues that we know they have definitely were right there again on the biggest stage.
I just think, like, and I'm not even trying to do the low-hanging fruit. Like, there are a lot of missed shots in college. There were a lot last night.
There was, yeah.
Go through the game log, and you're like, what was this, like 15 straight misses? Dear God, can I get a point in this game?
They were asking. They asked both Kelvin Sampson and Todd Golden about it. I was like, yeah, I think we're just really nervous right now.
In the first half in particular, yeah.
In the first half, which is where, to your point, when it was 10-10 through the first half, one is a little bit of the style of play, but also it was just nerves. You know, I think that was a little bit that played into
what do you guys
the role of it.
What do you guys think this does for, the fact that Kelvin Sampson still, even though they came up short, what he's done at Houston has been simply incredible. He actually in his contract he gets to name the coach in waiting. A lot of people think it'll just be his son.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Kelvin Sampson, I'm not saying he's retiring, but he might only have a couple more years left.
I was kind of hoping he'd get one. He seems likable enough that you would have been like, good for Kelvin Sampson's very storied career and his chance to get I could see why it would have been easy to root for Sampson in that moment to complete the title run. But like the other end is like
Todd Golden's
best young coach in the sport, and Todd Golden, he's
39.
under 40.
I think that's it. And if Kelvin would have won, he'd have been the oldest coach to have won. So there was history on either side of it, obviously.
Todd Golden, 3 years at Florida. He was at San Francisco before. And given his age, who knows what the next 2 or 3 years bring for him. But if a Kansas or a North Carolina or I'm not going to say Duke because John Shire's not going anywhere. But if one of those blue bloods open up, Todd Golden has vaulted towards the top of the list. And look, Florida has money. It's the SEC. But Florida, they up until Todd Golden arriving back, Florida had kind of been irrelevant on the basketball front for a decade plus. You got to go back to like the Billy Donovan days.
I saw somebody ask this last night, and I thought it was an interesting question. Is Florida a blue blood? They have 3 titles in the last 20 years, or in the last 19 years.
I don't think so.
No, but they're in tier 2.
I think they're a lot closer than people think to being in that blue blood.
I don't think
if
they
we're
are
considering titles in it.
Yeah.
I think you have to.
The problem with them is the
standing of the SEC.
Blue blood, you can't become irrelevant though for a long period of time. That's like it can't just be.
No blue bloods do that.
It can't just be the titles. I don't have I'm gonna have to Google this because I don't
totally
claim to know
agree.
the exact
I think it's a fun
record.
question.
No, it is. It's a fun question, and I was trying to pull it up because I don't know the exact length of time, but I want to say there were stretches of multiple years absent from postseason. I could be off. I feel like they were irrelevant for a decade. We can try to pull up there.
I just think it's interesting because they have more titles in the last 20 years than Kansas has.
Yeah.
Sure, but they still have less overall, and they have the down periods. So, like, you're not wrong in, like, the total number, because technically Indiana also has more.
Here we go. So, in the same, you said Houston since when, Drew, since 2000?
Since and in the last 20 years.
Since 2005. So, obviously, they won the title in 05-06. Right, no, I know that, but I'm saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the last 20 years they didn't even make the tournament. That's why I don't think you can be a blue blood.
Way too much.
And they have
way too much.
How many tournament wins during that stretch? So they obviously won the title last night, but they lost in the first round last year. Then they did not make the tournament 2 years before that. The year before that, they lost in the second round, then didn't make the tournament. Then second round loss. Regional final. No tournament, no tournament. National semifinal, regional final. No, it's a great program, but it's not a blue blood. You can't have 7 misses.
Would you consider UConn?
We had this debate last year. Yes, they are now. Absolutely.
Because they likewise they have one more title in that span. They've also missed the tournament like 8 times in that span in the last 20 years.
Yeah,
they've missed.
UConn have.
They've missed it 20. They've missed the tournament 8 times in the last 20 years. UConn
has missed 8 times. They also have 4 national titles in that span.
They have 4, and they went back to back at one point as well, just like Florida. But
4 went back to back. They also missed 8 out of the 20.
The difference is though, in the last 15 years they've won 4.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, no,
in the last 15 years, UConn's won 4.
No,
that's why they're the blue blood.
I think that's why this whole conversation is fascinating, because it's a lot of it is like the greatest of all time debate, where I think there's really no set standard as to what a blue blood is. Otherwise,
we just know that it's Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke, and Kansas. And then I feel like everyone else is a kind of up for debate.
Yeah.
The Villanova, Michigan State, does Indiana deserve it from the previous era, Connecticut? And I'm saying you could make arguments for some of those and you can make arguments against. I just think the only 4 that everybody universally agrees on if you took a poll was Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke, and Kansas. Like, maybe I'm wrong, and there's a 5th one that, like, 95% of everyone would agree on, like, I don't know, UConn.
UCLA was one at one point. People obviously were trying to put in the
UCLA's
conversation.
tough because they have the most national championships in NCAA tournament history. So like
they won one,
and they're 3 ahead of second. Which Kentucky's probably. Oh, I mentioned Kentucky. So like that's probably. But yeah, like it's they've been. I don't think it can be irrelevant. I don't like, and they had a run. Didn't they go to how many Final Fours in a row?
They went to a Final Four.
4 Final Fours in a row during the Ben Howland years.
I mean, they went to a Final Four as recently as 2022.
Yeah, with Mick Cronin.
Yeah, but
they went to like 4 in a row or something with Ben Howland, didn't they? Or 3 in a row or something crazy?
I don't know if it was that many in a row or not. That was the teams that had Russell Westbrook on them.
Pretty good.
Kevin Love
and Russell Westbrook, part of the Ben Howland days at UCLA. That'll get you to a couple Final Fours.
What do you mean? What about that amount of talent makes it feel like?
To answer your question, I was trying to pull up the exact timeline.
Because I mean,
here we go. So they went to.
I thought they made like a bunch of Final Fours in a row. I could be wrong.
3 in a row. 3 in a row.
3 in a row. Okay.
That's what makes this conversation so fun because look,
they lost to Florida and beat Florida one of the years. We were talking about Florida.
There you go.
Purdue does not have a national title in their history, but let's say
you can't be a blue blood without a title.
I know.
Hang on. Just start there.
Hang with me. If we're talking, that's why this argument's so. If they win one title, if they won last year, if they beat UConn, are they a blue blood? Because they, in terms of their history, have been so good for so long.
Not with one title.
One is not
title.
enough for a blue blood.
It's this fun convo, like you said, but there's
a minimum standard.
It's not that you just have the most titles, but also you can't. Yeah, you also can't just win one title and then go to a bunch of tournaments and say you're a blue blood. That's usually the reason why UConn vaulted in the blue blood category is because they won 4 in 15 years.
Yeah, they were nowhere near that conversation. You know what else also helps them? I hate to say this because they're unrelated, but it helps them that everybody knows that the women's team has won like 12 or 13. So like you think of UConn basketball has like a vibe to it. And I
all the way back to Jim Calhoun. I mean, and Rick Hamilton. Yeah,
they're not related, but they are related because part of the blue blood thing is a thing that is immeasurable, and it's just like the jersey, the name on like some of it is like an immeasurable thing. It's not tournament wins or Final Fours or championships or who's the coach. Some of it is just like what you think of when you think of the program. And when you think of UConn, you think excellent basketball, one way or the other, you know?
Same thing with Kentucky, yep.
It's why I would put UConn in the blue blood conversation. I'd probably have like 6 teams, but Florida wouldn't be in it.
Villanova for a time, I think, was close. They were on the brink of it. Of course, since
If Jay Wright wouldn't have left, I think they would have had another ring at some point.
But then they like pop back down to regular stuff, so it starts to feel like Gonzaga. It's just like you were a great team at a great time because you had the right coach. Or is it that you were just like an all-time great program is going to be good no matter what?
Someone says we need a new category: Silver Bloods. Florida, UCLA, Indiana, Michigan State, UConn. That's the second tier.
How long does Indiana get to just like hover? No offense. How long do they get to just like hover in this conversation forever? Like, how long do you like?
I think they're going to be just like UCLA because UCLA has hovered for it for a long time as well.
But they don't have the titles that UCLA has, man.
Indiana has
not been
They got 5
in
titles.
a final.
They don't have 11.
Indiana's last Final Four was 01-02.
I mean, come on. 25
they didn't
years
win
from
it
a
either,
final.
but that's
correct.
25 years from a Final Four, and I got to put them in the silver category.
I mean,
they get bronze.
I know,
bronze.
Since
but
I've been
UCLA hasn't won
born-
a title since '88.
Cody, since I've
They
been
won a title in
born,
4
Indiana.
years.
Since I've
They're
been
also in bronze.
Since I've been born, Indiana has been to 1 Final Four.
Yeah.
When they didn't win it either.
And you're old enough to have back problems
and I'm
now.
34.
Like, doesn't that speak?
Yeah, it's not good.
To the rest
It's not good.
They're not necessarily a blue blood, but I think in terms of like basketball circles, UCLA and Indiana are always forever going to have that.
They're off my list.
That itch to them of they're not blue bloods, but that job means a whole lot more to people like in basketball circles than people think just because of the history aspect of it.
This is like the changing of names on stuff. They don't get. They're off the list. Too late. You had a chance. You spent 25 years in obscurity. Sorry, no more. You're off the list, Indiana.
I will be interested to see what's his name. Is it DeVries that got the job at Indiana, right?
Yep.
From West Virginia. What can he do there? You know, there's been
Did a good
guys
job
that
at West
obviously
Virginia.
like even it's weird though because what's his name that just got fired or retired? Mike Woodson. Like there was a stretch for a second you thought, wow, he was
forced out of
gonna.
there.
Yeah, there was a stretch in his first or second year. You're like, oh wait, maybe we got something here, and then. So can you can't just have 1 year where you make the tournament and win a game and all of a sudden Indiana's back.
They were good, they just weren't good enough. Is what it was, and they were losing out on like Flory, for instance. That also didn't help with those sorts of things where the guys from Indiana, Mr. Basketball in Indiana, and Indiana's not getting him. That's a problem.
How'd we all finish in the bracket, by the way?
Yeah, so let's shout out our winners, by the way.
Yeah, shout out our winners. I finished 74th, a respectable number.
Yeah,
Turns out if you get the national champion right, that's going to really help your point
happened
total.
last
Who
year.
knew?
That's the reverse of last year.
Yeah.
Last year, you were in first until the Final Four, and Drew and I think, leapfrogged you. This year, I was ahead of you guys until the Final Four, and now I finished behind you you two. Here's the winner. Congrats to Jeremy H. He had Florida. He got 176 points. He had 51 correct.
Kudos.
He edged out, let's see, so he edged out Brandon M. He had 172 points with 50 correct, and Matthew B. Of course, all the top.
Yeah.
Right,
I had Florida.
The top 44 all had Florida winning the national
Did
title.
you see what happened over at ESPN? So ESPN's got $1 million bracket for the person who finishes the highest. It was down to 3 people essentially last night for the points, right? 2 that had Florida, 1 that had Houston.
So a tiebreaker.
So
came
they
into
had
play.
both. One of the people who chose Florida did not choose a tiebreaker, so they instantly lost.
Oh, no.
They would have finished with the exact same number of points, and the tiebreaker would have mattered. To be clear, the person who put in points put 155, which is just way too many.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right?
So, no, but had he just
But that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter now because the other guy didn't put in any points.
They did not miss a single, both of them did not miss a single pick after the Sweet 16. All 3 of the final 3 didn't
So they
miss
were
any
just
picks after the Sweet 16.
chalk heavy.
And they both had, all 3 teams had Florida and Houston. The guy who had Houston obviously lost. They both had Florida. He did not put in a tiebreaker score.
tells you to put a tiebreaker in
so
at the
he
end.
automatically lost out on the $1 million, and the guy who just put a score in
disgusting.
won it.
That's gross. 'cause
That's by the way.
It doesn't let you
if that's
submit
you,
it until you hit
if
one.
that's you,
I'll never admit it to my grave.
Never doing a bracket ever again.
No,
I'm
it's
done.
ruined. I might not watch the NCAA tournament again.
I'm never doing
I
a
might
bracket
just
again.
out.
No, I would tell the story. I would make sure everybody knew. That everybody would know, but I would never do a bracket challenge in my life.
No.
And you're right. For a year or two, I might not even watch the tournament. It's one of those where you just be disgusted with yourself.
$1 million, dude. Could have won $1 million.
It is interesting how they went from perfect bracket to $1 million to now all of a sudden you just have the best one and you get $1 million.
Well, because nobody's getting
obviously-
a perfect bracket.
Correct.
You know,
correct.
like that. Honestly, that's never happening. Perfect bracket.
Agreed. It's
And
not.
they were really close. The guy, I think they both missed 5 first-round games and a couple in the second round, and then everybody else who was in the final 3 was everything right, Sweet 16 on. So they didn't miss any games.
All right, up next, let's talk more about this Royals bullpen, what we're seeing from the back end. Could they be on pace to do something special? Plus, one mistake, if you're not going to hit, cannot happen in the big leagues. That's next.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
FanDuel is giving new customers an offer unlike any other for the first major at Augusta, because right now new customers get $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Thinking about the Masters, right? You've got Will Zalatoris. Can he finally break through in a major? Can Jordan Spieth get his second green jacket? Just some of the storylines going on at Augusta this week. You can bet on all those, plus first-round leaders, top 20s, 30s, 3 balls, tournament matchups, and so much more. Plus, you'll get paid instantly when you bring home a major win this major season. So don't wait. Visit FanDuel.com/Alex to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, and swing for some green at Augusta. FanDuel is an official partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and President, Kansas' first online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. With thousands of 5-star reviews, you can trust us to bring happiness home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Shane Company engagement rings are expertly crafted to fit both your style and your lifestyle.
My wife's an artist and works with her hands. Shane Company helped me create a ring that's beautiful and sleek. She loves it.
Shane Company rings are crafted with care using high-quality materials, and we set each center stone by hand in our jeweler's workshop right here in our store. We also protect your ring, including the center stone, with our unmatched free lifetime warranty. Let us help you find your perfect ring, in-store and at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Looking for the best food, drinks, and game day vibes? The Landing Eatery and Pub in Liberty has you covered. Happy hour Monday through Friday, 3 to 7 p.m. with great drink specials, game day buckets, 5 beers or seltzers. Keep the party going Saturday and all day Sunday. Catch every play on over 68 TVs while enjoying our massive 102-item menu. Love live music? Our neon-lit smoking patio has bands Thursday through Sunday. Don't miss out. Check out our daily specials at landingeateryandpub.com.
Spring cleaning is upon us, but there's one meaningful box that you don't throw away when cleaning out your closet. It's the box filled with your family's important videotapes, film reels, and photos. Hi, I'm Adam Baselogger.
And I'm Nick Mako. We started Legacy Box over a decade ago to help families organize and update their analog media to digital.
Legacy Box is simple and easy. It works and is safe. Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box.
And Legacy Box has been featured in Good Housekeeping, The Today Show, and Rachel Ray.
Legacy Box is like magic, converting your shoebox of memories to the cloud or thumb drive, ready to watch and share.
Declutter your closet by digitizing your media. Become more organized and accomplished, knowing your family's recorded past is safe forever. Take advantage of our spring cleaning sale going on now. It's the easiest task to check off your to-do list.
For a limited time, you can get started for just $9 a tape. Visit legacybox.com/value to get our $9 sale. That's legacybox.com/value to get our $9 offer. legacybox.com/value.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 biggie bag with a junior bacon cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, junior hot and crispy fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppable, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, cause you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The technicians you can trust with your house keys. Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
So while we were in break, some shocking news in the sports world. I know we don't talk a ton of NBA, but this is a stunner. The Denver Nuggets have fired their head coach, Michael Malone, with 5 games to go in the regular season.
The guy who won the
title 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
The guy that is the winningest coach in Denver Nuggets history.
With 3 games to go in the regular season?
Is it? I think it's 5. Whatever. 3 or 5. I think it's 5. But
it's next week or the end of next week.
5 games left. They are in 4th place in the West. And only like a game or so out.
They only have 3 games left.
Okay, they only have 3. 5 games left in their NBA regular season. Yeah. Okay, fine. So that is stunning news. We had the Memphis head coach like a week or so ago get fired out of nowhere. This late in the year for a team that's in the top 5 in their conference, unless we are going to find out there's some terrible scandal or something. What the hell is going on?
The only explanation I could understand for why this firing happened, I don't know if we'll get the answer or not, because you're right, they are in 4th place. They're only a game back of being in third. Like, they're not going to catch the Rockets, but they could catch, hypothetically, the Lakers. They could fall to the 5 or the 6 or the 7.
2, right?
Because,
even.
Yeah, they're even in the loss column. So technically they could be caught by the Clippers, the Warriors, the Timberwolves, the Grizzlies. Like, it's a mess underneath. I'm not saying that it can't be. But he won a title 2 years ago. So the only two things that make sense. He, like, did something, like, scandalous, like committed a crime or...
What happened in Boston
What happened in Boston, you know, like where the coach maybe, like that. Or Jokic said, Jokic's brothers threatened your life or something. Like, what the hell's happened? Like,
I'll be honest.
Make it make sense outside of those
but the
conditions.
playoffs start in 5. The playoffs are 5 games away for till the NBA regular season is over.
That's crazy.
Like, even if Jokic and him had a disagreement, you would think, like, hey, we'll just figure this out at the end of the season. It's bizarre. That's a stunner, man.
You said it's like hockey, Cody. I mean, because in hockey
fires
this happens
people
all the time. That's what this seems like.
But hockey,
not before the playoffs.
We
but
don't
hockey
even have any
does
news
it.
about Jenkins yet. We have no clue why he was actually fired.
And that's the former Memphis head coach. Hockey, though, while they fire a ton, usually hockey is like they're 5 games into the season and they fire the guy, and you're like, dude, you should have just got rid of him in the offseason. Yeah. That's normally the hockey move. Yeah. You start off 0-5 in hockey, and they're like, well, we're done with you.
I'm waiting to think about the comp. The comp would be in Major League Baseball with a week left to play. Well, 2 weeks left to play in the regular season. The Royals just locked up their postseason slot, and then they fire Q. Or in the NFL, it's week 18, Drew, and you clinch your playoff spot. Or no, it's week 17, I guess. You're like a week before the playoffs. So,
oh, wow. An update on this.
And then they fire him right before the playoffs happen.
Also, from ESPN, the Denver Nuggets have fired their general manager.
They're cleaning house.
So their head coach and GM, with 5 days left in the season until the playoffs, have got rid of their head coach and GM. What the heck happened? What?
I don't know if this is actually scandalous. This is just they're cleaning house. It doesn't make any sense.
But
the timing.
Why?
I don't know.
But why? I don't understand. Can someone tell me why? Because if you look at it on paper, it makes no sense other than Jokic hated all of them. And he said, it's them or me. What is the other logic behind it? It would have to be Jokic who hated these people.
Even if it's Jokic, it doesn't make sense.
Or they were like conspiring against the owner of the club in Denver. These guys won a NBA title 2 years ago for the Denver Nuggets, and they are currently with like the 6th best odds, maybe or less, to win the NBA title this year. It's not like, I don't understand it. That's
one of the top comments, and I think this is funny, is of course the conspiracy theory route is where they're just opening it up for the Lakers at this point. You know, the Grizzlies fire the coach, they go 0-4 to start things. Denver Nuggets, great roster, fire the coach. You know, we're going to open things up a little bit. That's the conspiracy angle, of course. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the timing of it is, it's just, this is now 2 NBA teams with winning records firing their head coach with less than 10 games to go in the regular season. Memphis, as we talked about, and then now Denver. It just, yeah.
This would be next year in week 16, even after they've clinched a playoff spot. Or 2 years from now. 2 years from now, week 16, after they've clinched their playoff spot, they just fire Sirianni and Roseman, and they're like, well, see you later. Sorry that you've been having all this success. We're not interested in that anymore. And I don't know how long Michael Malone's been the head coach there, but he won a title.
Since
He's a winningest
2015,
coach.
I think.
I was going to say, it's been about 10 years now.
Yeah, since 2015. Winningest coach in franchise history.
Weird.
And won, as you said, the title in 2023.
It'd be like fire McVay this year, a week before the regular season ended, right before they were going into the playoffs. Why would you do that?
Look, the Nuggets have, by their stand, like they've lost 4 in a row. They haven't been great since the All-Star break, but you're still 4th in the West. If you want to clear house in the offseason, do it. Doing it 5 days before the playoffs start just makes no
bad
sense.
Business. Yeah. The truth is, even if you think you're going to clean house and you're going to fire everybody, what are the odds that you have a better run in the playoffs because you just cleaned? And look, you probably don't need the GM for the playoff run. He's not making any moves. Fine. The GM technically doesn't change probably the performance on the court other than perception from the way you're going to play, but the coach does.
They've also
the coach certainly does.
Excuse me, but they also have built. I don't know if this is the guy that drafted Jokic, but they have MPJ. They signed Aaron Gordon. They got Jamal. This guy's essentially. You would think if it's been the same GM this whole time.
GM screwed up by bringing Westbrook back, though.
Yeah, but that's a look.
Again, you don't fire him 5 days before the season.
You just fire him after the season if you're mad with the job he's doing. You do 5 with 3 games
and
to
if you
go.
Don't want Russell Westbrook, don't play him.
With 3 games to go and a half-game lead on the 4 spot in the West, you think that's the key time to just go ahead and clean house?
Just weird.
Doesn't make any sense.
That's really weird. I mean, I'm guessing. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't like it anymore. I'm hoping we get some answer. But like you mentioned in Memphis, we don't know why they fired their coach. They just fired him.
It's been almost 2 weeks now, Gold. You mentioned. I mean, it's been a little bit now. We still don't know. And
find out.
By all signs, you would think that if something came out though, or if something happened, you would think that it would have come out by now.
No, I mean, it sounds like they were not happy with how the season was going. They just like, well, screw it. We're already throwing in the towel for the playoffs. The funniest thing now would be, of course, the Nuggets went on a run. With the interim head coach and everything. It's just
who's the it might be is it gonna be Popeye Jones as the interim? I don't know.
Yeah, someone just one of our listeners just tagged us in a tweet from somebody just about, with the exception of Steve Kerr, who's still with the Warriors, all championship winning head coaches between 2020 and 2023 have been fired within 2 years of winning the title.
David Adelman is going to be the interim head coach.
Okay.
I don't know who that is. Okay.
He's been around the league for a while.
Yeah, a very long time.
But I just like I don't know, man. It's weird. That's a weird decision. Look, this has been a weird year in the NBA. Luka get traded to the Lakers was a huge deal. Now a team fourth in the West firing their GM and their head coach 3 games before the end of their regular season ends, right before the NBA playoffs. Now somehow they're going to end up winning a title, and I'll be even more confused. That would actually be perfect.
That's what I said.
I'd like the Nuggets to win it all because that's the weirdest conceivable outcome that could take place as a result of this. I don't know, man. That's bizarre. Okay. I don't have any other take on it. I just I didn't know how or why that happened. So if we see anything about why,
don't win a championship. You're better off just being a runner-up. 4 of the last 6 NBA champions have fired their head coach. So, yep. Weird stuff.
So they win, and then you're like, get the hell out of here.
The bar gets rigged. The bar gets raised too much.
That's what Giannis did with Mike Budenholzer. There actually was some beef there.
Look, if your biggest in the NBA, we know that it's the player empowerment league. Like I always lean towards what happened here is Jokic doesn't like him because it is the player empowerment league to the strongest conceivable thing. That's why I brought up the thing earlier where Cooper Flagg, because
it's a fair judgment.
Player empowerment exists in the NBA like no other sport. So if you're Cooper Flagg, and let's just say the Bobcats have they done the NBA draft lottery yet?
The Hornets, you mean?
Yeah, the Bobcats, we got to go way back. That's a throwback.
Whichever the
the
worst
draft
franchise.
lottery is not till early May.
Okay, worst team, the Hornets, get the number 1 overall pick. You'd be like, hey, either trade that pick to somebody I want to play for, or I'm going to go back to college.
Yeah. See, I don't think
the
this
NBA
is a Jokic
actually
thing.
allows you to power this
either.
I don't think. I think this is an ownership thing. I do not think this is
the GM as well makes it seem like it's definitely ownership.
I don't think this is. In fact, it might be I'm be curious. I would not surprise me if you see Nuggets players that are like upset, and this actually derails everything for them. I don't know.
Ramona Shelburne is reporting. She said she wrote an article in November speaking to like the tension between.
Jeez.
She said that this has been tense and pressurized since the beginning of the year. Both Malone and Booth had big ideas and strong wills, so they just got rid of both. Maybe now both are out.
No sense. If you're a coach,
so get rid of one. Why don't you just like find a different person? I don't know.
I know, but as far as I would be concerned, even if you don't like the coach and everything like that, or you don't like the ideas that he has, if he wins you a title, I'm sorry, but whatever he's doing, I'm actually going to let you do it because you know what you're doing. I'm not going to make decisions for you. That doesn't make any sense. Like, if you haven't won a title, then sure.
Okay. I mean,
there's the news in the NBA.
It's
Mike
a Kroenke
Malone,
who apparently runs a team. He delivered the news to both this morning.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right.
He's been. What's that?
I said not Stan Kroenke, just some kid probably.
But
yeah, that's what I was mentioning.
Kroenke owns the team. I mean,
it's not him that delivered it.
Oh, he may not have did the news, but it's his
Josh
franchise.
Kroenke.
It's his franchise.
It was
though.
Josh Kroenke.
He's had a busy day. They announced some huge development project around the Rams Stadium this morning too.
Yeah,
so it's been a busy day. For him.
Like that. I do. That's serious, and then we can get back to baseball or whatever we had planned. But like the Cooper Flagg thing, I'd hold the team hostage.
Yes.
If in the NBA, I'm allowed to choose my team anyway. I'm going to choose it now. I'm going to choose it right now. And in the NIL era where I can still at least make millions of dollars, I get it. I delay a full 12 months on my Supermax extension that I'm getting eventually from whatever NBA team. So, like, I do hold some money hostage a little bit. I'm not playing for miserably bad NBA franchises. And the Hornets, I think, have maybe new ownership, too. So, like, maybe...
By the way, the teams with the best odds currently to get the number 1 overall pick, Utah, Washington, Charlotte, then New Orleans, and Philly.
Don't go to Salt Lake City, Cooper. Don't do it.
Really?
Nope.
Is that a bad one? Not great, but
They gutted the whole thing.
They did,
the Jazz stink.
Look, I don't think
Wizards.
Cooper Flagg will do that. I get what you're saying, but we talk about this all the time in the NFL too, like how players should leverage. Like there was discussions about that with Caleb Williams last year. Joe Burrow rumors happened like, oh, he doesn't want to go to Cincinnati, and that was a joke.
In my opinion, different leagues. I think it's like apples and oranges. I think in the NBA, you actually do have the empowerment to.
But he's not even in the NBA yet. You're not even in the NBA.
I know.
Yet,
That's
though.
why I'm kind of curious if a player could try the player empowerment in from college. I'm not disagreeing that it's not happened. I'm just curious if you could pull the trigger.
And if he does, because people were talking about Wemby, I think, even doing it, but Wemby loved Pop, and Wemby wanted to go to Popovich because of the whole Tony Parker thing and all the international player stuff. But if I was Cooper, I'd be like, look, I'm playing for the Pelicans, I'm playing for the Spurs. One of those two. Nobody else.
Anyway, back to the Royals as they get back in action. They're 5-5 tonight. It'll be a pitcher's duel, as we had mentioned. Cole Reagans versus Pablo Lopez tonight. So hypothetically. But the big thing that, like, we had JJ Picollo on. If you missed it, you'll hear part of that conversation coming up at 1:30 today. We've talked about Mikey Garcia and some of the other positive signs. The back end of the bullpen has been great. A texter yesterday said, we got the new HDH.
Wow.
Tell me some good news. And I said, whoa, pump the brakes. But Estevez, Urseg, and Harvey have combined for 14 2/3 innings, 14 strikeouts, and a 0.61 ERA. So they have been, by all accounts, through 10 games, been nearly perfect. There's technically one blown save for Urseg in that runner on second in a 10th inning when they eventually lost the game, I think maybe opening day. So like maybe one in there. When you toss in Lynch, 20.2 innings pitched, 20 Ks, and a 0.44 ERA, everyone remembers how bad the bullpen was to start the year, right? That they had that James McArthur was their most reliable back-end closer option for months. Gold. When he started to struggle, he was still their third best option out of the bullpen. Yeah, eventually they trusted maybe Zerpa more or Long more and some of these other guys, but they were still trusting McArthur like the third most in July last year before he got hurt. This bullpen is so much better. You're getting fruit off of the Harvey trade. All right, he's got a 0 earned run average. The Urseg trade, that worked so great into last year. And now Estevez is off to a good start. I know it's not been smooth, but he's getting the close on that situation. They don't have HDH, but they might have one of the 5 best 7, 8, 9 in the league. If it continues like this, they definitely do.
Just a couple weeks ago during spring training, we were talking about like strengths of the team and what ultimately is going to become that for this team. And we said, and I think even with Vern, that there is a chance it's a top 5 bullpen. It's very early. It's still 10 games in, but you can at least tell maybe it doesn't end up being top 5. It is going to absolutely be a strength of this team. And they added to it at the very end. We know when they didn't get the outfield bat, they said, all right, let's invest in the bullpen more. They brought in Carlos Estevez because he was not the first plan. He wasn't plan A, plan B.
No, Santander or Profar or some of these other guys.
Right?
Yeah.
And then there's well, Carlos is out there. He can help, and with the kind of money he's making, he's going to have every opportunity to close. And so far, yeah, I understand he gave up a run yesterday, but he still got the save. And the way they're using Urseg, I know some people think he should close, but the way they're using him is actually perfect. Highest leverage spots, got to get a strikeout. He's your guy. And that's what Urseg provides, whether it's the 7th inning or it is the 9th inning. That's who's going to get that opportunity. And yeah, Hunter Harvey last year was the guy everybody was excited about, but he maybe was overworked by the Nationals, never was healthy, and now we're starting to see why they were excited about him when they acquired him. And so you put that all together, and yeah, they've got some other pieces. Tonight they're going to have to use other pieces. If the Royals are trying to protect the lead, you probably don't have Carlos available. You probably don't have Lucas Urseg available.
They're going to have to go to Lynch and Zerpa and Long and some of the other
big
guys.
spot for those guys tonight, possibly.
Yeah, it is. If the game's close, obviously, we can't be guaranteed that. Based on the starters, you and I both think that's definitely a possibility tonight, certainly. They think it's going to be a low-scoring game in Vegas on that end. This is the deepest, and I think I had said this like on paper, but now that I'm getting a good look at it, this is the deepest the bullpen has been since that era. Like, let's not say that, like, HDH and that's a little, but this is as deep as it's been because right now, I feel confident in the 3 we mentioned. Urseg, and there's no good nickname for him. EEH?
I don't think so. Maybe there's some Dragon Ball Z type of nickname or something. They can get everybody doing the same.
Maybe we can.
Estevez has got his thing.
They're going Super Saiyan. We can, we can have a little fun with it somewhere in there. But they don't go just those 3 deep. Lynch has pitched 6 scoreless innings and is approaching the Royals' all-time record for consecutive scoreless innings. He's not there yet, but I think it's less than 5 innings now, or around 5 innings he's got left to maybe tie Wade Davis's record. And you and I agree, it's not the same because Wade Davis is pitching high leverage, but still impressive across the board. Sam Long was pitching in the 7th and 8th inning in the playoffs last year. So was Angel Zerpa. I know some of those guys are off to bad starts, but rough starts. I don't know. He's pitched 2 innings. I'm not gonna panic about Zerpa in 2 2/3. But they have a real bullpen, as in it might be the second strongest part of the team right now. If you ranked it, if your guess, let's say All-Star break, what do you think the 3 best units are in the team in order? Starting pitching, bullpen, and offense. Defense. So we can do 4 if you want. So where are they? Right now, we would be starting rotation, bullpen,
sure,
offense, and then probably defense, because defense, they're doing some weirdo things, not negatively, but they're having to move so many players around. I think they're cutting themselves short in some areas in order to get more offense. But the bullpen is probably the second best unit on the team right now. It's not something they were the last, dead last year, although they were not a particularly strong defensive team.
They're doing what we thought they could be doing based off of the personnel that they now have in the bullpen.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Drew, over in the text line, 913-586-7965. Of course, the random question today is brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Results every week, and then receive free support for life online at awaken180weightloss.com. Head over to the possibility, science for the
that's not controversial ever, which is good.
Hold on. Not that I think science should be super controversial, but
it has become.
But let's say science anyway. And I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm going to ask you if this is a good idea or not. Based on movies, I'm going to tell you it's not, but maybe that's not the case.
All right.
Some scientists have been working in a lab about bringing back extinct different species, and it turns out they are having some success in doing so.
All right.
As it sits right now, it's not a dinosaur. I guess
so the velociraptors aren't coming back.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a T-Rex yet. Scientists claim over in an international research study that they have successfully de-extincted an animal, as they called it, the dire wolf. Isn't the one from Game of Thrones that belongs to the sigil of the Stark clan? They have claimed that they have created 3 dire wolf pups by using ancient DNA, cloning, and genetic editing technology to alter the genes of a gray wolf, the prehistoric dire wolf's closest living relative, the company announced on Monday. The result is essentially a hybrid species similar to that to its extinct forerunner. So they're not saying it's a direct copy, but it's real close. The dire wolf, which was the inspiration, obviously, for Game of Thrones, is why part of the reason I think they did it. It was once one of the top predators, they claim, in North America. So random question today is this a good idea to bring back extinct animals? You want the dodo bird? Do we want dinosaurs?
So
do we want to bring back extinct animals?
So
is the question.
This is very cool, right? Very cool. No, we don't need to.
They would extinct for a reason.
Extinct for a reason. Just let
nature take its course.
Everything play out. It is what it is. Yeah, no, we don't need to be bringing back stuff that was extinct. What did they say? 12,000 years ago.
Yeah,
we're good.
long time ago.
It's very cool though. I mean, it's pretty darn impressive that this is something they were able to pull off. But no, I don't think we need to start bringing back animals from 10,000, 12,000 years ago.
I've looked up lists before because for part of this, you're all right, what are the ones that have there's a list of just the ones that have been extinct in the last 150 years, like the northern white rhinoceros. Are we really saying nature take its course if people just poached it and killed it? Shouldn't we want to bring back some rhinos if
it's fair.
Humans just got in the way?
Yeah.
A meteor got you, life's life, climate change got you in the earth. Okay, life's life. But if we just took you down as the human species, I don't think it's the worst thing ever if we try to bring back a rhino. I just think no predators. My rule is no predators. So the dire wolf, no good. I don't need 8-foot tall dire wolves hunting in packs trying to get us, Yeah,
that would be a problem.
Drew, what's your take? You think that we should do it?
No, I'm not. I will say this. I think conceivably, you always say if they don't hurt us or anything like that, it would be pretty sweet to
just be walking. Real ecological impact that we don't know.
It'd be pretty sweet to just be walking down the street and just have I don't know. As long as they don't hurt you, like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, just towering over, this is pretty tight.
Wait, hold on.
I don't want a theme park with T-Rex. Jurassic Park taught you nothing.
He's not even saying a theme park. You want to walk down downtown KC Mo.
I don't.
And there's just a T-Rex just chilling. What are you doing?
I think that would be pretty sick.
I'm trying to get to work and not die.
I don't think these wolves that they're bringing back either are just going to be
kept in captivity.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like they're just letting them all go. But hey,
why would you bring something back just to keep it in captivity? It makes no sense.
Dude, if it's a T-Rex, there's a good reason to keep it in captivity.
I understand
I don't want to be eaten alive by a T-Rex.
I understand that, but why would you bring it back in the first place if you're just going to keep it in captivity? If you're going to bring it back, just at least let it do its thing. Otherwise, don't bring it back.
Nobody does that. That's not how animals work. And have you been to a zoo? It's just like they're not going to just like let dire wolves just be like, well, we brought you back to life. Good luck, dire wolves.
So don't bring it back to life is what I'm saying. Like, if you're going to bring it back,
man.
why are you just bringing it to
maybe they
to
can
hold on to
you
it?
know what? Maybe they can be back in the wild after, like not captivity in a cage, like maybe in an open field, but like maybe over time, if they bring back the species to stronger numbers, maybe what you're talking about can take place.
The 3 dire wolf that are back are living it up in a private 2,000-acre facility at an undisclosed location in the northern United States.
Perfect.
Until they break out.
I just think as that's why look, I know I brought up a crazy example, but I said as long as they don't hurt, like if you could just hang and you're just in nature and you're just walking around and there's a dinosaur next to you, that means it's pretty dope. I'll be honest, like it's pretty sweet.
There's a lot of people that are just like, can't we just like cure cancer or something? I'm like, it doesn't work the same. This one might be easier. If it were as easy to like clone this dire wolf or like when they or cloned a sheep and then brought this dire wolf back from extinction.
Wait, they name one of them Khaleesi?
Well, I mean, dude, if you're doing also,
but
she's not
Daenerys
a star.
Targaryen had nothing to do with the dire wolves, though, in Game of Thrones.
But she
had nothing to do with them.
I mean, she was murdered by it.
She did not own a dire wolf in Game of Thrones.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah, it's been a couple years.
I'm sorry, I can't spoil. I'm not spoiling Game of Thrones. If you missed the finale, it's been 5 years. I don't know, however long since that show ended.
That is the random question.
People want the dodo bird back. That's always the one. That was the one they just taught us about. And every school decides when to teach you about extinct animals to teach you about the dodo bird for whatever reason. I think it's because the fun name.
I know. I kept mentioning Velociraptor for a reason. I had to do like a diorama project or whatever, and it was on the Velociraptor. So that was, I don't know why, that was always the dinosaur I liked the most. That was the one. That's why I just anytime you mention dinosaur, that's the first one that comes to mind.
That's the first one?
Obviously T-Rex, but like Velociraptor.
We got any cool, we got like one good diorama last year. Other than that, the kids haven't really come home.
Do they still do that? Like, do they still make those?
She had a big 3D one that was about like endangered species that came home from her program last year. So maybe Desmond comes home with like a lot of artwork about that.
Someone want to know what else we're going to spoil today. What about Severance? Have you watched the final season finale?
I'll never get caught up.
What?
Dance weekends. It's just I'm behind.
Severance season finale was top notch.
I'll
top
never.
notch.
I did see people didn't like the White Lotus finale.
I
haven't picked up that show yet, but
I
I'd
haven't
like
watched it at all. Any of White Lotus. I'm way behind, as in never watched.
Yeah, same. But I'd like to. I'd like to start watching it.
Might have to do that. All right, up next, though, a big shift coming to college sports, and we'll work in another popular mock draft. Maybe the final one from this person before the draft. That's next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
What's up, guys? It's Drew. We got the fight for the green jacket at Augusta National this week. The top golfers in the world all vying for that green jacket have to be playing at their very, very best. You also have to perform at your best in the bedroom. What if there was something that could help with that? I'm talking about Blue Chew. Your partner wants you to do whatever it takes to make your sex life better, and Blue Chew is your secret weapon for the bedroom or wherever you decide to get it on. Turn oh no into oh yes with Blue Chew. Blue Chew is an online prescription service. There's no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy, and it ships right to your door in a discreet package. Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription, and if you don't like swallowing pills, it's no problem, because Blue Chew's tablets are chewable. Free sounds great, doesn't it? If you want a great offer, go to BlueChew.com and get your first month free when you use our promo code KFNZ at checkout. You just pay $5 in shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code KFNZ to get your first month free. Then you'll be ready to chew it and do it.
GimmeTheVin.com's big cash giveaway. I hate games and scams. So when we had the idea to give away $25,000, I was very careful about the way it was orchestrated. Get the top of the market money and enter to be the lucky person to get $25,000 this month in March. This is no joke. This is no game. This is very real. Just like GimmeTheVin.com.
No purchase necessary. For official rules, go to GimmeTheVin.com.
Sell us your car. GimmeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
This is Blake Fanning with Shawnee Mission Ford, here with a huge announcement. This month, it's employee pricing for all at Shawnee Mission Ford. Let me tell you one more time. It's employee pricing for all at Shawnee Mission Ford. You pay what we pay, not 1 cent more. You heard right. We got the employee pricing for everyone on new Fords. But that's not all. When you buy from Shawnee Mission Ford, you not only get employee pricing, but you also get our lifetime powertrain warranty, along with our 1-year Select Plus protection with your new vehicle purchase. This is what makes Shawnee Mission Ford different. You get all of it. Employee pricing on a great selection of new Fords, plus lifetime powertrain warranty, along with the 1-year Select Plus protection. And Shawnee Mission Ford is still going to offer you the highest trade values in Kansas City. Do not miss employee pricing for everyone. From America, for America. Shawnee Mission Ford, where we're on a mission to save you more.
Excludes 25 Super Duties, Raptor line vehicles, 25 Expeditions, and E-Line.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are open now for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. A winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. Enter now at overheaddoorkc.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorkc.com.
Hey everyone, this basketball season when your favorite star scores buckets, we're alley-ooping you an opportunity to win money watching sports with Underdog, one of the leading sports apps you can play in your state, as in Missouri. To play, it's easy. Just choose higher or lower on one of their stats, points, assists, rebounds, and more. They've got all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. Mix and match. Create entries with all basketball selections, or just mix them between sports. And you can win with as little as $1 and up to 1,000 times your money. Join the millions of fans who have already won billions making plays at Underdog. Download the Underdog app today and sign up using promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, to unlock a special offer for up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon your first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Blaupunk Americas, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bikes. And our collegiate e-bikes, just perfect for the college fanatic. These e-bikes offer a new way to experience freedom on 2 wheels, no matter your age. When we needed a top-notch website to match our cutting-edge e-bikes, we turned to AmericanEagle.com. They made the impossible seem easy, tackling digital challenges like pros. Check out the Blue Dot Bike website to see AmericanEagle.com's amazing work in action. Need the best in website and digital marketing solutions? AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW-1. That's 877-WEB-NOW-1.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag with a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, Junior Hot and Crispy Fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Kansas City, this is Michael Massey. Listen to the play-by-play all season long with Denny, Jake, Ryan, and Stu right here on your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan.
KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
There we go. 1 o'clock hour on a Tuesday. Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you.
Somebody did a dance this at the dance comp.
Of course,
that was
I'm not
over this
surprised.
weekend. It's not surprising.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, I believe there were some, in my opinion, questionable music choices in general at the comp. So one, whoever runs like the dance competition.
Dan's dad over here goes to 2 competitions and now is critiquing everybody's music selection.
It'll make sense once I hear it. So once you hear it. So one, they clearly don't filter the music when they're just like on stage, they're just dancing around, hanging out, waiting for awards to start. Because I heard Low, and it was not the edited version. So
now, what's the age range of people in this competition? Is like as
4
young as
to 18.
Okay.
Well, so the unedited Low. I also heard unedited Doechii and Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
And I just want to be very clear that should
is
not.
Surprising.
Oh yeah, but the one that killed me was considering his recent track record. Let's just say the last 6 months. Somebody did an entire dance to Kanye. I'm like, man, you got to take that out the rep for a 12-year-old for a bit. I'm sorry. He's selling
what song?
He's selling Nazi stuff.
no,
Dude, you can't be putting Kanye on your kid dancing to
what song?
Oh, I don't.
It was one of the classics.
Something off Graduation. Yeah, I can't remember exactly which one now, but like, one of the
it's a tough
hits.
spot to be in. You know, it's like the same with some of the other people's
They're
music.
kids, dude.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you
correct.
can't. I'm not saying nobody can't put it on Spotify in their car. I've told you my stance on music is if you admit they're a horrible person.
Stronger.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a song I've played coming back from break, from Graduation.
Like you gotta admit that they're a terrible person before you play it. Okay, that's my stance.
From now on, I would do. So whenever I
mean,
play
nobody's
The
doing anything
Glory-
like R. Kelly or anything, but I mean, it was like
I've done that
cool.
as well on the show, and I did not apologize or did not.
That went poorly. You did play R. Kelly.
I remember that. I do remember that.
We gave him a hard time for that one. Sorry. That's all. I just thought just like they're dancing on stage, and I was like, oh, maybe get the Kids Pop version or something low here.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that.
I don't know. Be careful.
Did you go up? Did you go up there?
Careful.
Did you go up there and complain? You go up there and say, hey.
I don't know. For the most part, I've told you, like as a parent, one of my stances, and if they get older, it'll change. They're 6 and 8, so I gotta be cool. I don't play Kendrick when my kids are in the car or whatever, right? But
sure,
I view music the same way I view books and art, as in those are things I don't censor in the Tap household. You want to read books with stuff in them? Cool. You want to, like those are relatively less censored things in the Tap household. But like, I still draw a line. Okay, there's still like a limit for an 8-year-old.
Oh, of course.
No, totally.
You want to go see, statues that are, whatever. Same difference as like music. It's all artistic expression, in my opinion.
Someone says you should have Drew go to one of these dance competitions.
And give his opinion?
What to do? Oh,
I actually think if we all get fired, we should start at big money, I think.
Hang on. I've been to enough dance competitions growing up. I am.
Oh, your sister dance or something?
I'm glad to be retired from that.
Oh, trust me. We've talked about this. I have 2 sisters, plenty of dance recitals.
I'm glad to be retired.
Went to plenty of dance recitals.
Going to do my homework at her practice. Like, no.
But vice versa. We make both kids go to both. Like she's got to sit out at soccer practice too.
Of course.
It's crazy. It's crazy. They've got no filter.
Someone was joking. They said, Cody, you didn't have to listen to the music. You were in the bathroom the whole time.
That was only at the end. That was Saturday's problem. Saturday's problem, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, my favorite thing, like everybody listens at different times in the show, so this is why we also have part of the show podcast. Someone just said, "Did you guys talk about the Nuggets firing?" We actually spent a good 15 minutes talking about Michael Malone getting fired. Wild. If you missed our convo on that, it is podcasted. We agree with you. It is surprising. It's pretty shocking, but we already did talk a good chunk of the show in the last half hour about that. Let's talk some Royals baseball, though, a little bit, as JJ Picollo joined us earlier, the general manager of the Royals. So if you want to hear our conversation with him, that's coming up at 1:30. We asked him about that bullpen. We asked him about, is MJ Melendez getting a little closer to having some success at the plate? So those are some of the things that he gave us the answer to coming up at 1:30. But there's potentially in July a massive shift on the way for college sports. You guys have maybe seen over the last, I guess it's been a year plus at this point, this House antitrust settlement with the NCAA, and really going to change the way we view collegiate sports. And it'll be at the end of amateurism. But to sum it up, there's a judge that still has to approve it. It would allow colleges to directly pay players who will still get full scholarships in NIL deals. And yeah, they will be part of revenue sharing. The dollar amount is going to be something like $20 million or $21 million a year that will go across the sports programs at the university, athletic department. But there will be roster limits because financially the math isn't going to math. So there will be roster limits and that is going to change a huge chunk of this. You and I were bringing this up earlier. I still don't. The Title IX stuff is still an issue here, but it sounds like it's going to get approved, and I guess they'll just completely ignore.
It sounds like they'll just ignore Title IX as it relates to it. I mean, I'm guessing they'll still have to put some resources into those programs, just not the $20 million in salary in order to do it. Weirdly enough, I think it's actually good for the sport. They need to make it a regulated, full professional league. You can still call it college. They can still go to class, and there can still be the parts of it that are like college. It's too big a business. It's always been too big a business. The thing is, I think this actually protects the NCAA more than it protects the players in ways, because now they're finding a way to cap their expenses versus have to endlessly fundraise the NIL budgets to try to find ways to get these players in-house. I still think back alley payments will take place, and everything else that take place before now won't go out of the way. I do kind of feel, I'll be honest, I feel a little bit bad for the players who, even on partial scholarship, or even if they're just paying normal, but they wanted to play college football and they were player 80 on Alabama, and maybe they were using that as a stepping stone to go to another school, or maybe they were like, their dad went there and they were going to spend 2 years on the back end of the roster to try to make the team in a bigger way and get to play play time on the field. I feel bad because it kind of kills the back end, but like, life is a bit cutthroat. And the truth is, if you're not good enough to make the 53, not good enough to make the 53. And I think that it's going to balance college football as a result of that. I think Ohio State, Alabama, all the SEC schools get a stash so much talent that is not playing for them right then, but will eventually, that now gets to go to the other universities first. And I like that. I like that for the sport.
Potentially, until somebody comes up with some new loophole or something like that, where they're behind closed doors are able to convince some kid to still be a walk-on, because we're like, well, how are you? Alabama still promised you X amount of money in the future or something like that. That's my only worry still with this. But I think for the most part, it should allow there to, because of the smaller roster limit, someone can go to a different school and play right away, which should help some of the other schools. Maybe even it's good for D2 as well, with some of the opportunities that are there. Transfer portal, absolutely.
Because, if I'm not going to play right away, why would I go and wait 2 years at Ohio State when I can go play at West Virginia?
Yeah, the plan hasn't been approved, but it sounds like the judge wanted some tweaks to it, where instead of having the roster limits, take effect immediately, they'll phase it out. So that way, if you're currently a junior, you're currently a junior, you're going to get kicked off the team.
They're grandfathering it in where anybody who's currently on a roster would be able to stay, even if the roster sizes would expand beyond what the limits would be. But
so about 4 years, and then it would be washed away. That's fine.
But starting for the class of 2026, essentially, is when things would begin.
Again, I think the roster limit thing could lead to what you're saying. I just wonder if we'll find out in a couple of years that Alabama or whoever has still found a loophole, because there will always be backdoor deals and things like that. But
those are happening now,
right? But if the roster limit, let's say it's 60 or 50, we'll call it 53. We'll keep it like the NFL or whatever. Let's say it's a 53-man roster. You're telling me, though, that Alabama, they don't keep 7 players that are still walk-ons, and they've promised them X amount of money, or they're already getting X amount of money behind closed doors?
You only have 53 then. If you're keeping those guys separately, then you have to keep it as then you would only have 53 on scholarship if you want 7 walk-ons. Like that.
But is the roster limit 53 as in 53 that are getting paid through the direct payment, or is it literally you can only have 53 people part of your football program?
I think based on they're going to give you roster limits, but everybody's on scholarship who's on your roster. There's no walk-ons.
Right. But that's what he's saying. Can you just agree to stash somebody and pay them cash?
No, because
not inside the 20 million.
Because you have to report them on your roster.
That's what I'm asking.
They're not on your roster. That makes no sense.
Right. But that's what I'm asking. Like in the NFL, we have a practice squad, right? Mm-hmm. There's a 53-man roster. I'm just wondering, will we get to a point where some schools will try to have a practice squad and they're still technically paying them behind closed doors?
That would be kind of crazy. I didn't think about that.
What's to say some program won't do that behind, keep it quiet, and they have 5 true freshmen that are on this team. They're still paying them $50,000 a piece or whatever it is. Or
I want to guarantee you right now, there's a member of every staff of these big programs already looking for the loopholes in this, right? Already looking for the loopholes in this, and so it just depends on if they limit their rosters in a way that I think is productive, then I think it actually kind of works a little bit. I'm hoping it kind of spreads the talent around a little bit. But make no mistake about this. This is meant to protect the NCAA from the egregious actions they have spent the last 50 years trying to avoid paying players. This helps them by capping it way lower than their actual net worth. Think about college football. Think about the salary caps in the NFL. Do you really think that a college football program, and this is for both basketball and, do you really think a college football program, the players are only worth $20 million to the bottom line revenue? You know who actually needs to take a pay cut? ADs. ADs and all the other people, like the number of people paid at the university level, the head coaches, like that's where the numbers should come down. We always pretend like it's the players who need to take less. Dabo probably makes $12 million a year.
The problem, though, is that those guys are state employees. Like Nick Saban, when he was the coach at Alabama, was a state employee.
Highest paid employee in the state.
Yeah, what's Dabo make? $12 million a year, and we're like players paying 20s too much?
Yeah, that's the problem, is that it's not, it's not related to the school or the NCAA as much as it is just them as an individual. It's not an NCAA thing, the payment for the coaches.
Hey, I guess the only other question I have about this, and I was doing some reading on it, and I guess now I'm, like as it gets closer and closer, we'll continue to be more. But it's dense, right? The $20 million, do I get to decide how much I give each player? So, like, if I just say, hey, Arch, I'll give you 15 of the 20.
Not sure.
I don't think you.
Or is it evenly distributed?
It's got. To me, it makes the most sense for it to just be evenly distributed, because that's what NIL is for.
No, I like it. I like it the other way in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but why the hell would I? Why on earth would I be why would I start at wide receiver and get paid $1 million because you're paying Arch 15 when I can go and make 25? I can make
because that's how professional roster construction works. Jamar Chase could leave and go make 70 million. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how roster construction works. We're giving you a constriction so that. Look, college football, can we admit, is the single most imbalanced professional sport in all of America. It is the most grossly imbalanced sport out of any. Which one's worse?
I mean, soccer is pretty damn imbalanced.
I said American, North American. So, like, I want to be clear. If you're talking European soccer,
the LA Galaxy. I don't know if they have
baseball's. I'm not saying baseball's not imbalanced. The Dodgers
baseball's more imbalanced.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. The only pushback
I
would
have. With these restrictions, it is.
Maybe. The only pushback I would have on what you're saying, Cody, would just be, remember, this is think of it as a base salary and your normal walk of life, not take the NFL comparison out. Like
it's your scholarship plus this amount of money.
Sure.
Right. Your base salary, $20 million split across however many athletes, and then I'm the starting quarterback still at Alabama. I'm still going to earn more because I'm the starting quarterback through NIL, and maybe that's the thought, right? Your earning potential is still higher than the number 3 wide receiver. We all make a baseline amount, but you can go and the starting quarterback can get an advertising NIL deal with a car dealership in town still for another $300,000. Just as an example.
Well, and I think in terms of bonuses, this is where things get interesting. I think what you should see is the NCAA should figure out a way to essentially, if you make the playoff, your roster gets an influx of this amount of money that you get, that the players get split. If you make the championship game, that's another thing. If you win the Heisman Trophy, you get X amount of dollars. Like money comes along with the trophy, where it's like golf. That's what it would turn into. Everybody gets the baseline. If you do better, you're going to make more money, and then endorsements, you can go make as much money as you want to. The money always that you make is going to be more in endorsements than it is going to be doing your thing.
I don't think that should be the case. That's not the case in any other professional sport.
Golf.
We're entering.
That's golf.
We're entering new territory. I'm fascinated to see how this all plays out.
Tiger's
starting
career,
in
golf and tennis. Tiger's career earnings are like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Okay,
a vast percentage of that is endorsement deals. Like,
but what about the Major League Baseball and NFL and NBA, where that's not the model? The model is not you make more in endorsements. The model is I make the salary that I'm earned based on the amount this sport makes.
I understand that, but I think that the way that the model works in college football and the way that it essentially is being proposed is it makes so much more sense with a golf-like model where everybody gets a scholarship on the roster. Everybody's going to make money on the roster. If you're Arch Manning, you're going to make more money because you're the star quarterback at Texas and you have the Manning name. That's the way that it goes. And if you play well, you're going to earn more money because you play well. It makes sense for it to be run like golf and everything else for the NCAA's sake, for the program's sake. It's even across the board. And Kansas, it helps Kansas out if it's like that. If it helps K-State if it's like that.
In fairness, so like somebody who's actually working on this case, he's a lawyer locally who, I've met with a couple of, I don't know what's the name out there, but he's working on this kind of case. He said the scholarships will be equal, the payments will not. So like you can pay Arch Manning 10 of the 20, You know, like
I would not go to Texas. I'll be honest. If I was a wide receiver,
if you're
I
out
would
of
go to
Texas. But that's the
Somebody's
thing.
always going to get paid
Everyone's
more
going to
than
pay
you.
the quarterbacks more. So like this isn't just a Texas problem. Alabama and Texas and USC will all be paying their quarterback $10 million, and the amount of money left for a wide receiver will be the same.
Can you imagine if you're the program who doesn't, you attract all the other talent where Arch Manning's throwing to JUCO wide receiver number 5?
That'll be how it works.
Yeah, like someone from the 913 on the text line says the roster, this is in NAIA, this is a different level, but still, roster number in NAIA was 24 full rides. They took their cost of a freshman times 24, that gives us the salary cap. They then divided that among their players. That's how they did it. And again, that's NAIA level, but still, it gives you an idea of somebody that's been involved in these type of conversations.
I think you should be forced into a decision just like any other capped league. Like, you shouldn't just get, like, I think, again, it creates equality, Drew. Like you're saying, I won't go to Texas. Great. I hope you go to Missouri or Kansas State, where they'll pay you more to be a wide receiver and the talent is more equally distributed.
Yeah, but the talent wouldn't, because everybody's leaving Texas to go to said school because they're paying the quarterback half the cap.
Why wouldn't that equal it? Because Texas would be worse versus have every talented player.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that Texas wouldn't be as good anymore, where all of a sudden...
Cody's saying he thinks
I
it'll
want that. I
balance
want
everything
Alabama,
out.
Ohio State. I want them all to be worse.
But Texas would become West Virginia, and West Virginia would become Texas because you're paying all of the money to one individual.
Not unless they do a really good job building their roster.
So,
they get the same amount of money.
In this hypothetical, you think West Virginia's not paying their quarterback more too? Of course they are.
I think it's up.
Like every team's going to pay their quarterback more.
I think
they're not going to have like
it's roster construction
for the most part. Right?
I understand,
the best GMs at roster
but
construction
if you're a
will win.
program, why would I pay the number one player in the country half my cap when I could play the 20th best quarterback in the country and pay everybody?
You get to make that choice. That's what I like about it. It's roster construction.
Not every,
I know, but
maybe
then,
not every team will do to that exact extent. But yeah,
not half.
But I think that actually creates more imbalance if you allow people to do it in different ways. Where if everybody is the same way and there's roster limits,
then they'll just choose Texas and the imbalance
exists.
exists.
They won't, for the reason that you just said, because there's roster limits. They'll go somewhere else. And they know that they'll get the same.
But
if I know that I can make the same amount of money at Alabama that I do at Texas, but I can make more NIL, you're going to pick your decision
you
based
make more
on
NIL at Texas.
You base your decision more off of things than just money. You'd base it on a variety of other different things. If you can get the same set balance of money at where, this is where, again, name, image, and likeness is what your value is regardless of where you go. It should not matter that you can get more NIL at Texas compared to another school.
But it does matter.
No, it
True.
No, it does not.
To the start,
Right now it does, but with this new system, if you're paid the exact same amount of money in one place or another, if I can be a really good player at West Virginia.
Very utopian in college football.
I hear you. And
I'm sorry, but look, Oklahoma City is a small market, but Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is worth more money than Austin Reeves is, even though they both play on separate teams in vastly different markets.
Because SGA is a better player than Austin Reeves.
I understand that.
That's why SGA is just a flat out better player. If like I get what I kind of get what you're saying.
SGA makes the same amount of money in LA as he would in Oklahoma City.
That's
it's a professional sports league that doesn't have
college football.
No, but what you're saying, Cody is saying that
you get drafted, you don't choose your team. There's all these other things that change.
You're arguing that, like, let's say Arch Manning went to Kansas instead. You're saying that the exact, like, maybe that's a bad example, but
because
like,
he's Arch Manning, he will make a certain amount of money, and it doesn't matter whether he goes to Texas or whether he goes to Kansas.
I
name, image, and likeness, because his value is the same.
I disagree. Like, maybe if Kansas all of a sudden for many years became a solid program, but in general, if you are in the SEC and you're the starting quarterback at Texas, there will be more NIL opportunity for you. The base salary, quote unquote, in this hypothetical might be the same in this 20, this split. They might give 90% of their $20 million to 90% is a terrible percentage, but they might give 30% of it to their starting quarterback, and they would do the same 30% at Texas. That might be level. But if you don't think the money from NIL, which remember NIL technically, if you're a
it
booster
has to be name, and then it's not. Then we need to change it from name, image, and likeness.
It is still going to
NIL. It's not NIL, because if your value is determined on where you go, then it's not name, image, and likeness, because your name is not being fully represented as it is.
No. Like if my dollar amount that I'm getting paid from the school is let's claim it's equal, I can still earn NIL. I'm telling you that if I own a business, and I'm a University of Texas alum in this hypothetical, and I own a business that's worth billions of dollars, and I'm like, you know what? That quarterback because I'm not going to get, if I'm the Texas alum business owner, I'm not giving money to KU for Arch Manning. Does somebody at Texas with a bigger alumni base, do they have more wealthy donors that own a business that through NIL can, quote unquote, funnel the money to their quarterback? And then the guy at Kansas that's trying to pay their quarterback? The answer is still
But again,
yes.
then we need to change it from name, image, and likeness because
You just want to like a branding reshift?
Because right now,
likeness, though.
if you're getting paid more because you're going to Texas than you are somewhere else because of boosters, you're getting paid for your play because you're coming to there. It's not your value. It's because you're coming to Texas.
You can call it whatever you want. It's what's happening, though. We can call it whatever. We can change it to handouts. I don't care. It's still the same thing,
but
man.
in terms of what it's called, it is not name, image, and likeness.
Well, we're arguing the utopian way.
I'm telling you that it's not. If your value is your value, regardless of where you go, that's name, image, and likeness. If your value
I just
changes,
disagree. It's fine. Like
as an individual changes based on where you go, then it's not your. Then it's not your value.
Drew, we understand. Like we understand what you're saying about it, but like I just fundamentally disagree. Name, image, and likeness. The first part of what you're talking about, name. My name has value. My name is
Manning's name.
Hold on.
Not Arch Manning at Texas.
No,
I
understand. That's the name part of image and likeness. Image is Arch at Texas. Like I'm just saying, like they don't all mean name, and name. You're saying there's 3 words in it. Name, image, and likeness don't mean Arch Manning, and Arch Manning. They mean my name as it stands, my image as a member of the Texas football program, and my likeness as a result of a football player. Like they don't all just mean the same thing, I guess is the argument I would make.
And if the money
They
was
mean 3
even for
separate
everybody,
things.
then wouldn't it be better for the sport if you could have Arch Manning at Kansas football than Arch Manning at Texas for the individual?
Yeah. I don't know. I still think it could be good for the sport. I still think it could create some equality. We'll see. Might not. The NCAA doesn't really love that, and the big boys will still have more advantages for the same reasons. The more NIL money, more everything else in between to recruit, higher level of play, more chance to get drafted, a million other reasons. Any kind of equality brought to any sport, I'm for. I think that's why everyone loves the NFL. The NFL does get to be king, partially because you technically have an equal shot to all draft Patrick Mahomes. It's not even once the games start, but at least from a starting point, it is.
All right, up next, we'll get to what's trending, and we were joined by the general manager of the Kansas City Royals, JJ Picollo. We asked him, has he seen any progress from MJ at the plate, and also his thoughts on what they need to see from Jack Caglianone and the minors.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Cole Reagans, and you're listening to Cody and Gold. Weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. We can reawaken any space to make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
If you've been thinking about losing weight and you're not sure how to get it done, let me tell you why Awaken 180's weight loss at-home program is the correct choice for you. First off, no medications, no gym, no calorie counting. Sticking to the system is what worked for me. I had a weight loss goal in mind of 30 pounds. I am only a couple of pounds away officially from that weight loss goal. I've lost 24 pounds thanks to Awaken 180's at-home program. Give them a call, 844-346-1800, or online at awaken180weightloss.com, because I know you got questions. If you got questions for me, you can ask that as well. This will be the last time you have to lose weight. That's the goal, right? With their free support for life, after you reach your weight loss goal, that is something that you can do at Awaken 180. I know it's a difficult decision figuring out what the best system is for you. Find out why it works so well for me. Don't waste any more time and make the decision I made at Awaken 180. Give them a call, 844-346-1800, or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
The deals are hot, hot, hot this weekend at Hy-Vee. This Friday through Sunday, for 3 days only, the deals are on fire. Get boneless, skinless chicken breast, $2.99 a pound. 24-pack Hy-Vee water, $1.99. Red Baron frozen pizza, $2.99 each. And Coca-Cola 6-packs, just $3.69. Check out our low everyday prices on thousands of items. Stock up and save big this Friday through Sunday only at Hy-Vee.
There's nothing better than breakfast at the Hy-Vee Market Grill. They have fresh, made-to-order breakfast entrees crafted with the highest quality ingredients, like Hy-Vee's famous biscuits and gravy, sunrise breakfast burrito, the brioche French toast, sweet cream pancakes, omelets, skillets, and more, all served with a side of fresh and crispy hash browns. Kids 5 and under always eat free, and they serve 6 to 11 a.m. on Monday through Friday and 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Mornings just got a whole lot brighter with breakfast at Hy-Vee Market Grill.
Honey, it's me, your wife. Spring is here, and our house desperately needs the experts at Powell Exteriors Casey for siding, windows, entry doors, beautiful decks, patio covers, roofs, and more. Get ready for summer at powellcasey.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, millions of men experience ED, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. At HIMSS, our own board-certified urologist, Dr. Peter Stahl, knows this better than anyone, and he knows that HIMSS can help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS.
Through HIMSS.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs. Options at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% less than brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
All power, zero compromise. Ego cordless outdoor power equipment features advanced lithium battery technology that exceeds the power and performance of gas without the noise, fuss, or fumes. From blowers and trimmers to mowers and pressure washers, one battery powers over 90 tools. No wonder it is the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Power beyond belief. Visit egopowerplus.com to learn more or to find an Ego retailer near you. That's egopowerplus.com.
Harbor Freight knows time is money, so for our Spring Black Friday sale, we're getting straight to the deals. This weekend, you get 35% off jack stands, 56-inch roll cabs under $800, and 2,300 PSI electric pressure washers under $190. See? Straight to the point, so you can get straight to the savings. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until April 13th, 2025 while supplies last. Limitations apply.
Royals coverage sponsored by Renner Garage Door, forward and back, RENNER.
It's almost Andy Reid. The offseason is a perfect time for a $100 tune-up from Renner Garage Door. Get a free replacement quote today. Call or click rennerdoor.com, Renner forward and back.
RENNER. You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. What's trending?
What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. Obviously, we have a new national champion in men's basketball. The Florida Gators got that done last night, came back from 12 points down against Houston. Todd Golden, the second youngest now, I believe, head coach to win a national championship at the Division I level. Odds are already out for 2026. The Duke Blue Devils somehow are favorites when we don't even know what 90% of these rosters are going to look like across college basketball. But hey, you can lay down some money.
You know their team will probably be pretty good.
Yeah, KU 16-1, MU's 100-1, K-State's 100-1.
Next up on What's Trending, the Royals continue their series tonight against Minnesota after getting the win last night, getting them back even on the season at 5-5. Cole Reagans will take on Pablo Lopez on the mound tonight as those two continue to do battle. Minnesota right now second to last in the division. They've got one win more than the Chicago White Sox. A bit of a rocky start for them. Royals, all their first 3 runs last night were all like bloops. Not exactly like murderous offense, but the job still got done one way or the other. What are you guys trying to...
He was telling me about our interview we're about to play.
Oh, sorry. You guys got too busy continuing to discuss.
No. He was telling me something that is required for our show here after What's Trending, Cody.
Oh, okay.
Actually, very important.
Very important stuff. Very important stuff.
Okay.
The Nuggets did fire their head coach, Michael Malone. That was a stunner today.
And their GM.
And their general manager. 5 days before the season ends, 3 games to go. They're the 4th seed in the West. This is the second head coach in the last 2 weeks to get fired for a team that's currently slated to make the postseason. I think this is just they're not happy with the team's performance, but it just makes no sense. It's unprecedented 5 days before the season ends to fire a head coach that's going to be coaching your team that won a championship for you
2 years ago.
2 years ago, winningest coach in Denver Nuggets franchise history.
I don't know why you wouldn't just let them play out the rest of the season and then fire them. Doesn't make any sense. Next up on What's Trending, sad news in the baseball world. MLB pitcher, former Royal of 15 years, Octavio Dotel, has passed away after a ceiling collapse at a nightclub in the Dominican Republic. His body was recovered today, confirming the tragic accident. He spent a year in Kansas City, but 15 in baseball altogether. Really tragic way to die,
That's
of course.
terrible. Yes, it just was at a nightclub like last night or something. There's
the
obviously
ceiling
clearly
collapse, they said.
Wow. I didn't
They had to go recover his body via jet ski, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an awful situation there in the Dominican Republic. That is what's trending here on Cody and Gold. Earlier today, we were joined by the general manager and the executive vice president of baseball ops for the Royals, JJ Picollo. He joins us every couple weeks throughout the baseball season. A lot of things to address with him. We started our conversation talking about Chris Bubich, guy that was in the bullpen. What if anything, has changed for Bubich this year, who now looks like a pretty darn good starter for the Royals?
To be honest with you, I don't think anything's really changed. I mean, prior to his injury, he was in our rotation, and those first couple starts before he got hurt, we thought he had really turned the corner. He added the slider, which was a pitch that he always wanted to throw, and he sort of perfected it over the offseason. And just when we thought he was ready to be a regular in our rotation, he gets injured. So last year, I think we were just really fortunate that he was able to get back and not only pitch in the major leagues, but pitch in the role that he pitched in, because there's a lot of high leverage innings, some back-to-back outings, which is difficult on a guy coming off of, a Tommy John and a rehab. But very honestly, part of our confidence in being able to acquire Indian using a starting pitcher was the presence of Chris Bubich. And his first two starts have been outstanding.
How do you handle like the long-term play with it? Let's just say he's going to pitch like this all year, which would make him a Cy Young candidate. But like, if he pitches at the level you guys thought he could do, how do you handle it so you get to let him pitch in September or October? At times you might really also want him,
Yeah, I think that's going to be something we're going to have to play out through the season. It's hard to predict. I mean, there's going to be times during the season where, he's going to get a little bit fatigued. And if we have the opportunity to skip a start, with an off day in there, the All-Star break will factor in. But, one thing that's really hard to account for is what his workload was really like last year. Because when you count his innings from the time he was in Arizona rehabbing through his rehab in Omaha, he pitched about 80 innings. And how do you account for the short spurts where he throws 3 out of 4 or 3 out of 5? And how do you translate that into actual innings as a starter? That's a really difficult thing to do. So we're just going to play it start to start. There's really not a lot of concern of getting him through the season. It's just a matter of how do we read it and how is he feeling? And if he's feeling good, we don't have any reason to hold him back. We're going to keep, I don't want to say push him, but we're going to keep allowing him to pitch and not think of the glass half empty. The glass is half full for Chris. He's really moving in the right direction, and we're excited for it. How he feels in August will probably determine how we go about getting him some rest along the way.
Chris Bubich, obviously been a huge positive 10 games in. Overall, just to this point, what do you make of what you've seen from your team coming out of spring training and starting the first couple games?
I think, I'm glad we're 5-5, just the way we start out swinging the bats. But, the bats coming to a little bit, but I thought the consistency and the approach that we had over the last 3 or 4 games is what we expect. We had some scoring opportunities. We didn't capitalize, but we still managed to win the game. But when you look at our starting pitching, our bullpen, our defense, and our lineup, it's a pretty good team. Not ready to say it's the greatest team baseball's ever seen, but we're we're in a good spot because the pitching is going to keep us in games. And, if we're ahead after 6 or 7 innings, we got a pretty good chance to win the game with the way the back of our bullpen's set up right now.
I guess, yeah, that's really what it is. You mentioned pitching. I think a lot of times people go to the starting end of it. I think we ran the numbers earlier, including Daniel Lynch. So if we include him in the Harvey, Urseg, Estevez combo, they've gone almost 21 innings and have only allowed a single earned run. I imagine that this is kind of exactly what you were praying for, JJ, when you were building the back end of the bullpen this offseason?
Yeah, no, we want, you want to, if you have a lead, you want to lock down that win. And I think we have the makings, not only, with the 3 that have been thrown the 7th, 8th, and 9th, but you mentioned Daniel. Let's not forget about Zerpa. Those guys can pitch in high leverage situations. So not only is it some power at the end of the pen, but we can match up a little bit too, having 2 lefties that we're not afraid to use. And Sam Long has been in high leverage. Last year, I was reminded the other day, it was in September and October that we were going to Sam Long in the 7th inning, the 8th inning. So, let's not forget him as well. So there's balance there. And that's what I think we're most excited about is we have options, like tonight's a night where, those back 3 have thrown 3 out of 4 days, and that's difficult on guys. So we'll have to see how the game goes. But tonight's a night where somebody else is going to have to step up and maybe finish the game for us because this is about, the long run, not just the short term. And, these are where guys take advantage of opportunities when we get into situations like tonight, and they solidify themselves as a big part of our pen.
I've seen some like interview quotes, I think with Andy Rodgers and a few others. Daniel Lynch talking about high leverage. We're like, I wouldn't call it laissez-faire, but seem like he's not pushing you guys into, no, I want more and more and more of that yet. What has kind of his attitude been about earning those opportunities or taking advantage of those? Because last year he wasn't in the highest leverage for you. To begin this year, you guys obviously have those 3 at least that would seemingly be ahead of him for those spots. How is he handling asking for those opportunities or expecting what to do with them? Or just about when he gets in that spot, making sure he does it well?
Yeah, I think it's more about just seizing the opportunity. When he gets into those situations, go ahead and perform like he has. I think the mindset's got to be the same. Just because you're throwing maybe the 8th inning, it's different, but it needs to be the same approach as if he's throwing the 6th inning, because the 6th inning often determines what's happening in the 8th inning. So all of those innings are important. So when guys get opportunities like that, we don't want them to change anything they're doing. It's really the same 3 outs you got to get. And if a guy can keep a clear mind and approach the 8th like he approaches the 6th, he's probably going to have success. Now that's easier said than done because we all know the game gets heightened as you get deeper in the game. But the reality is, you don't even know where you might be in the lineup. You might be towards the bottom third in the lineup when you get that opportunity in the 8th. So that may be easier in the 8th than the 6th if you're facing 3, 4, 5. So every situation's a little bit different, but we don't want Daniel or anybody to change your mindset. Compete for those 3 outs like it's the 9th inning, because every inning can determine the outcome of the game.
We're talking to Royals General Manager and Executive Vice President JJ Picollo here on 96.5 The Fan. Obviously, MJ Melendez at the plate hasn't gotten off to the start that he would have liked, that you guys would have liked necessarily, but are you seeing over the last game or two anything different from him, at least when he steps into the batter's box? Is he getting closer?
Yeah, I think he is. And even though, regardless of what the batting average is, I think over the last 4 games he's got on base 6, 7 times in that area. But I think he's made a little bit, of a change. I can't really, say I'm 100% sure, but it looks like his bat angle's a little bit different where he's starting. And he's on time a little bit more. The ball he hit last night was as good of a swing as anyone can take. I mean, a little more elevation, that ball's out. So that was a good at bat. The walk was a good at bat. One at bats he struck out. I probably shouldn't say it, but I don't know where that pitch was. And,
it was definitely a ball.
He's competing well in that at bat. So that's why we try not to get too result oriented. That at bat was pretty good. It didn't end the way we wanted it to end, but it was still pretty good at bat. So really 3 out of his 4 at bats last night were good. And guys need to gain confidence, and last night should be a big confidence booster for MJ. And even the prior 2 days, I thought he did some good things in the batter's box.
What about Mikey Garcia? We, going into the season, we were trying to figure out, is he not positionless, but with India and Massey and some of these guys playing outfield and infield, weren't really sure what fits. I guess first, how do you view him in center, and is moving around taking the pressure off the plate? Did he change things in his approach? And we didn't talk about it as much because obviously he's off to a good start offensively.
Yeah, well, when Mikel's swinging the bat the best, it's when he's using the whole field, and even more so to the right center field gap that way. When his bat and his swing is geared to go in that direction, he usually stays over the ball longer. His bat stays in the zone, and he hits line drives. I mean, he hit 3 balls on the nose last night. I mean, the first one was really good because there was a man on second, and he had fouled the ball off before that, and he's trying to shoot that ball to right field. Then he gets a pitch that's up a little bit, and he hits a line drive to right field for a single. That's when you know he's going good. He did that in the playoffs last year in Baltimore, New York. He did it early in the year last year. So I think for us, the challenge with Mikel is just trying to continually remind him that you need to use the whole field. He hit the homer early at home that was pull, and I was really anxious to see what he would do the next games, and he hit the home run to dead center. That's a great sign. But you know what he's doing? We love this. We want this from every player. The positionality is a little bit questionable. Like, where's he going to play every night? But right now, he's forcing us to put him in the lineup every night, and that's what we want. So, luckily, he can play positions. And to answer your other question, there is already improvement in center field. That ball he ran down in right center the other day. I'm not so sure he makes that play, 2-3 weeks ago while we were still in spring training, but he had a beat on that ball. He was calling run for off the whole way. He knew he was on it. He makes a nice running catch. And I think as time goes on, those catches will look even easier because he's going to get better jumps, better reads. He's going to accelerate. And when he gets to the point where he's catching the ball, he's not still going to be moving. He's going to be there and, catching the ball more to his side than on the run. So he's athletic. He's going to be able to do a lot of things for us defensively. And we all believe he's going to excel at whatever position he plays.
10 games in, I don't know how many of these pregame ceremonies you've had for different awards. I'm sure it doesn't get old doing that. Are you guys done yet? I feel like there's been 7 of them for some of your guys.
Well, the first day we did it, we won the game. So the next day I was down there. The guys started asking me if I was superstitious. I said, no, it's just another pregame. And then we lost that game. So when I showed up the third day, they're like, beat it, get out of here. So, but no, it's nice. A lot of that stuff is happening early in the season. And, it's, Bobby had asked him on the field at one point, he's tired of getting these awards. He said, no, keep them coming. So it's a good thing. I think it's great for our fans. I mean, Salvi got that Roberto Clemente award at the World Series last year, but he got a nice standing ovation. I mean, of all the awards in baseball, that is arguably the best award because it speaks about who the person is. And then obviously Salvi's really talented as well, but it was nice to see our fans recognize him and give him a standing ovation for all the great things he does off the field. And it's what we want our players to be.
JJ, I want to ask you about just one minor league player because our listeners ask us about him. I know I'm going to ask about Jack Caglianone. It's only 3 games in, so I don't want to ask about performance in general. Just what organizationally for a player like him do you guys want to see at AA to know that he's ready to progress at AAA? So, what are the things specifically the organization is looking for him to do?
I really thought you were going to ask him about somebody else. So,
Carter Jensen. He's had a good start too,
Jack. Yeah, absolutely he has. He's been great. I think with Jack, I mean, it's really hard to, I guess, explain and understand. It's the quality of the bats guys are taking and who is he facing? Is he facing a quality, pitcher that can make pitches similar to the pitches that he's going to be facing in the major leagues? What's he doing against left-handed pitchers and what type of a bat is he taking there? We know he's got power. I mean, that's not, for him to hit a ball the way he did in Tulsa, that's not surprising to us. But the very next day with 2 strikes, he hits a line drive to left center field. Another bat, he was down 0-2 and he walks. That's more important to us in trying to determine how ready he is for the major leagues than seeing him hit a hanging breaking ball 460 feet. That he's going to do that, but it's how he handles his at-bats, what he does with 2 strikes. Does he recognize situations to get the run in because he's going to be in that category of run producer? But it's not going to be a small sample that we're going to make that determination. It's going to be a large sample, And, we haven't determined, is it 100 at-bats, 500 at-bats? We just have to have an instinct. We have people watching him every night. We have reports from the coaches every night. There is another step for him to take, and that's called AAA before he even gets to the major league. So, that's what we're looking for. We want to see the quality of the bat, the consistency, because we know one thing, it's a lot harder here in the major leagues because the pitchers are the elite of the elite, and we got to put him in the best position to handle that. So when he comes up, he never goes back, and that's the best way to handle players.
Well, I can tell you, he hasn't done anything to this point that hasn't calmed the fan base's excitement, which is that's something we get texts every single day about, which is fun, right? I mean, that's people should be excited.
Yeah, no, he's got one of the best prospects in the game. I mean, and that is exciting. So, I'm glad. I mean, I'm being very candid. I love when our fans are talking about the Royals, whether it's good, bad, one player, the whole team. That's what we do this for. We want our fans talking about what we have going on. And I think it's great that they're talking about Cags, and we are too, but they're, we're also watching everybody else. You mentioned Carter Jensen. I mean, he's off to a great start as well. And Gavin Cross, and, that team has got something. They got a lot of offensive ability on that team. They're scoring a ton of runs, and that's fun to watch. But again, with every one of those guys, it's all about the process of how their bats and how they are going and how they mature as a player, to determine if they're ready in the major leagues. All of these guys in the major leagues did great things in AA. If you go back and look at every one of our players, they've all done great things in AA, and that's the perspective that we've got to keep.
JJ Picollo, Royal General Manager, always appreciate it. We'll check in here in a couple weeks.
All right, guys. Thank you.
There you go. So that was JJ Picollo earlier today. We went over a couple things with him. How about what he said in regards to Chris Bubich, though? Like that was also what made it a little bit easier to pull off a tough trade, moving on from a guy that's been very successful in Kansas City and Brady Singer. Like, well,
starter in your rotation that was working last year.
Chris Bubich. We need to get better in the lineup. India's going to do that for us. Yeah, we think Chris Bubich can fill that vacancy. And it's 2 outings, but so far they look great.
The last 180 seconds of the show brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss, online at awaken180weightloss.com. No, I totally agree. And honestly, you have to kind of borderline not like or be hopeful of Chris Bubich. You got to be convinced that man is working if you're going to give up a guy who for a majority of the season was your number 3 or 4 starter. I'd say for half the season, he was pretty much your number 3 starter. For the other half, he was pretty much your number 4 starter. And he's off to a good start, obviously, for Cincinnati. This feels like one of those mutually beneficial, ideally, kind of trades is kind of the hope. Right now, Indy's working out great. He's one of the few guys on offense you can count on night in and night out. Gets on base, gets hits, moves runners. He's just like he just classic ball player, which you desperately needed in this order. Then you can just hope the guys like, if you get anything out of Michael, Renfroe, MJ, and I know they got nothing out of Renfroe so far. They're getting more out of MJ lately, as he previously mentioned. We brought that up because I don't think it's unfair to talk about a player when they're struggling and to be like, they're struggling. They don't look good. In the first 5 games of the season, MJ Melendez looked lost at the plate. I'm not saying he's turned a corner yet. I think it's way, way, way too early to say that. Over the last 3 games, MJ looks comfortable.
Better at bats.
He's driving the ball. Yeah. He's walking more. And JJ's not wrong. That was absolutely a ball on strike 3 late in that game yesterday. And it didn't matter, so I don't care. But when you look at it, yeah, I mean, he's putting in some quality at bats. And if he's going to hit 7th Gold, okay, quality at bats is all I care about. Driving the ball every once in a while is all I care about. He's not hitting 5th anymore for this team. I don't require him to be a big-time bat in the order. I need him to be capable.
Yeah, we also asked about Jack Caglianone, and a few people were texting in saying 100 at-bats. No, if you go back and listen to the answer, we were asking about Cags, and he said, we don't know if it's 100 at-bats, 500 at-bats. A few people on the text line took that as JJ said. 100 at-bats is what they're looking for. No, he said, could be 100 at-bats, could be 500 at-bats. We don't know, so I just want to clarify that.
It kind of depends on how he plays. Yeah. To be clear, so he said at-bats, not plate appearances. Let's just assume it's plate appearances. Mm-hmm. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and go with it. That's at minimum 25 games before they would send him to AAA. Like, that's the minimum. And
yeah, I'm just saying I don't want people to. He did not say, "Oh yeah, all we need is 100 at bats, and we'll have an idea."
No, that's what I'm saying.
It could be more than that.
A minimum of 100 at bats would be a minimum 25 games. And Minder, I just want to point out the other thing he said in there, which is there's another thing he does before the big leagues. It's called AAA. It's in Omaha. Like,
yeah, he didn't act like skipping the levels.
No. He made it very clear he's not skipping. He's going through the normal progression that a player goes through. Unless he hits 500 in AA this entire time, then obviously things could change. But if he's saying doesn't know if it's between 100, 25 or 100 or 100 and 500, that's between 25 and 100 games. This is in the entire minor league season. So we'll see.
JJ joins us every other week here on the show. Tomorrow we're back at it on a Wednesday. Josh Vernier, our Royals insider, is going to join us. Don't forget to head out to Kauffman Stadium. Maybe check out his new broadcast booth. How cool is that? If you're out at the K, stop by, say hello, Vern, tonight, 5:30 on Deck Show, right here on 96.5 The Fan. Up next, though, C-Dot and Rob. I believe Bink is in for C-Dot today. So, Bink, I'm sure we'll have maybe some news on the new mock draft and everything